Welcome, everybody, to the OMG Wrestling Podcast. I am Anthony Douglas. You might know me on YouTube as Tony Pizza Guy. Join along my colleague, Jack Lubash. Not sure if he's using his shoot name or his worker name, but I want to thank you for coming out. We have a huge new setup, as you might notice. You can see the stealth bomber behind me over there in the corner. I got to thank Jack for doing that one. We got 3 cameras going here. We got our mics. We want to thank Rode for these microphones. They're a great partner with us. They sent us the microphones and one of our partners. We have a lot to talk about. The OMG Wrestling Podcast was something that I started a long time ago. I had a lot of people coming in and out. We had guests. We had the biggest name on the show was probably AJ Styles. We also had Mason Ryan on one time. There's a lot of cool things that we did in the past, but that wasn't that wasn't what I wanted the podcast to be. The podcast was turning out to be just a still image on a screen, and you just listen to the audio. And I wanted to make it more elaborate. And coming up with March, and we got WrestleMania, and there's a whole bunch of huge things happening. What better time than do it is right now. So we're going to talk about WrestleMania. We're going to talk about the March documentary. We're going to talk about Brock Lesnar, Magnum Pro that we help run. There's a whole bunch of stuff we have on the list to talk about. But before we get to that part, I want to let Jack Lubash actually kind of introduce himself in case you guys don't know who he is. I know every video that I post up, they go, "Where is Universe Mode with you and Jack?" Every comment I get. So we're going to be bringing that back as well. It's the time of the season. We've been busy, sick, vacations, family, work. You went to New Orleans for work and all this crazy stuff. So
yeah, it's been a crazy time. And yeah, the sickness thing is just I think in our office here we just keep passing it back and forth to one another.
Yeah, I know. It's like you want to do a podcast, but you sound like complete shit, and it's like the worst thing to do
I sound like shit when I'm even healthy, so it doesn't matter. No, this is like I go by Jack Lubash. My real name is Jeremy. No, Tony and I went to high school together. We used to actually backyard wrestling. Don't do this at home, kids, but no, we did it. I think that's where we met, was backyard wrestling, and we kind of lost touch after that. And once we grew up, I say grew up, like if we still could, we both would still be backyard wrestling.
Yeah,
right
I
now,
know, right?
But so yeah, I do. I write, direct, produce, all that stuff. I have a feature-length horror film that I wrote and directed a few years back, and we do this Magnum Pro now. And so yeah, Tony became popular here on YouTube and became Tony Pizza Guy. I remember it was weird because like Mikey, one of our mutual friends, he kept telling me about how like, yeah, Tony works for WWE and YouTube, and I'm like, how the hell do you work for YouTube? But
yeah, it's crazy. Like actually last night I went out with my friend Derek, and we went over to Beercade, which is like a arcade / beer place. It's pretty fun. You play 25 cents to play some games plus drink all the beer. And Derek was like telling everybody that I was YouTube famous, and I was like, leave me alone. Like, it's not a big deal to me, but I did get to plug Magnum Pro while I was there. And
not a big deal. You just got a freaking plaque delivered here to our office for over 100,000
Okay, I'm not going to say it's not a big deal, but I guess I'm humble about it, where I don't like brag about it. Like, yeah, guess what I do while your stupid ass is at a 9 to 5. It's like, no,
Oh, so I'm a stupid ass because I work a 9 to 5 job? No,
I'm a stupid ass because I need to get a real job according to the internet comments.
Bullshit.
So that's what everyone says.
I'm the opposite. I want to get rid of a real job. Well, real job. I mean, you do work, but yeah. So we he was telling me about. I mean, I don't play video games, and you're telling me about this universe mode thing, and so we could create our own little roster and stuff like that. So yeah, you asked if I wanted to jump on and join, and I was like, sure. So we did. I mean, it was fun as shit to me. Like,
yeah, we're gonna bring that back. Obviously, we want to get back into it. I mean, I think we left off at an episode where Hulk Hogan was pronounced dead, but
yeah,
we have yet to see what's gonna happen.
The Purgatory, I think, was the last thing we did. The pay-per-view.
I think I did a Raw, and then we were gonna do
your silly little Raw.
Your Ground Zero, which is also known as the SmackDown of the Universe mode. That one
people love
was gonna
Ground
have
Zero.
They were gonna have the death of Hulk Hogan on it, so I'm interested to see that. We'll still going to the funeral of Hogan apparently.
I created it from scratch. You just went with Raw. I started my show Ground Zero Basically, I built it from the ground up. It's all new. It's. I've always said it'd be cool for a wrestling show to have it be called Ground Zero.
Yeah.
And so that's why I was like, I'll take the chance to do this.
I don't like that. It's too offensive to me. It reminds me of something else.
I'm sure it is probably offensive to some people. But no, I think people get the wrong idea about me. Like a lot of people hate me on your channel.
No, you say that, but a lot of people still like, hey Tony, when are you bringing Universe Mode back? No offense, but Ground Zero is better. And I'm like, what? Come on.
Probably because they think it's you that does it. But no, it's just like Tubby, who's another YouTuber like you, WWE and stuff like that. He actually, for those that don't know, which I'm sure you do, but he came out here to, like, Tony went to visit him.
Yeah. Which was the worst experience of my life, and I'll never do it again. But
and you'll have to elaborate on that here soon after this. But then Tubby came out here for like a week.
Yeah.
And you guys were doing a bunch of stuff, and I just remember I walk into the office and you guys are like, hey, we're about to do this live stream for NXT. And
there's not a lot of people that saw that. There's only like 200 people that ever saw that because it was live. And we didn't post on our YouTube channel because of the backlash that we got, which I won't talk about. But
well, I walk in the office after, like, I believe I had worked my 9-to-5 job. Like, you had said. I come in here and you guys are like setting up for some video thing, and you're like, hey, we're going to have you talk for like 20 minutes for the pre-show for this NXT thing.
We just had this idea, and I thought a lot of people thought it was very dumb and stupid and retarded, whatever verbiage you want to use.
I agree with them.
I thought it was funny at the time. And if it was funny at the time, I would put it on my channel. But turns out we're not as funny as we think we are sometimes. I don't know. Well, I thought it was hilarious, but there's a lot of people who shit on it. I think it's because my audience is a simple audience. What they want when I'm talking about like a pre-show for like a pay-per-view, they don't really want to hear what I have to say. I usually open up the phone lines and let them call in. So I think they were expecting it to be like a call-in type show. And then when you show up for 20 minutes just talking, they're like, what is this? Well, and then it doesn't help that CM Pulse, who's another YouTuber, and Smalls were in the chat room, and their audience came in and just like shit on it. Because CM Pulse runs the wrestling forum, or I think it's like the WWF forum is what it's called. He has a website, so he has a bunch of people on his forum, and they all came in, and once he gets there, they're just like on his side. And then he actually started a live stream making fun of our live stream.
I don't believe. Well, it was just like you guys are just like, you're just gonna talk and stuff like that. And I mean, I love NXT, but I don't follow it like religiously. So which I want to start. I'm starting to watch it like weekly now because it's an awesome product, but I like honestly didn't know what the hell the card was, and like me acting stupid on this thing was actually like a lot of it was serious. Like I was legitimately I don't know who's fighting who and stuff like that. But yeah, you guys just like, yeah, you're gonna stand in front of the camera and you're gonna talk. It's gonna be like our live pre-show thing. And
well, here's the thing, like I'm not gonna make any excuses, but I'm just gonna say the idea was that you were gonna be the pre-show to the actual show, but by the time we started it, we were actually late to the show. So when we put it on, people were like, they're already late. And then they do this stupid pre-show. So if we would have had you on 15 minutes before, like 5 o'clock or whenever we did it, it would have been fine. But when we were late and then we did that, and then some of the things were rushed and we didn't, and it was all just a big mess.
All I remember is you guys having me like pull a tape measure and acting like it was my
that was the funniest part of the thing. So this was like the day or two after that Seth Rollins' nude pictures got leaked to the internet. And the most hilarious joke, he was the first one I like, because you're like, you pull out the tape measure and you have it really tiny and you're like, I wish I was as big as Seth Rollins. And you're like, and then the second one was like, I wish I was, or look, I'm Seth Rollins. And you're like, it just keeps going and going. And that was hilarious because the tape measure was all over the place.
Well, Tubby was laughing, so I was like, well, I'll keep going with
I thought that was the funniest thing that we did the whole time. But once you get into it and like the whole audience just turns on you, there's no coming back from it.
Well, that's the thing. Like people have turned on me. Like even when we do the universe mode and stuff like that, people like hate me, and it's just like I don't give a shit if they hate me or not.
Right.
I kind of like being hated. I think I have always said if I was a wrestler, I'd love to be a heel and I'd rather have an arena full of people booing me than cheering me.
Yeah.
But it's just like I don't know. They got something happened. They got the wrong idea, and then we turned me heel on commentary and stuff like that. And so people think that. I mean, no offense to anybody listening or whatever, but wrestling fans, a lot of them believe what they see and what they hear, and they think everything is real, even though it's all fake and acting and stuff. So, I mean, if they hate me, I guess I'm doing my job well. But what I'd like to just say to everybody is I'm actually a pretty nice guy.
I was expecting you to be like, what I just want to say to everybody is screw you and fuck you and you can go to hell.
No, I'm just strong. I'm strongly opinionated, which a lot of people will find out.
We're going to find
with
out soon.
This podcast. So a lot of people don't agree with my ways and stuff
but
like
let's
that.
go on the other side of the fence. Like on us, we have to have like a thick skin because otherwise you'll get eaten alive.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, the comments on the internet, I've learned to just not even care anymore. But like some people start crying and get sad, and like I couldn't handle that.
And wrestling is like wrestling fans are like
the most opinionated.
They are.
They're the most vocal, and the ones that hate wrestling will tell you they hate wrestling, and they'll tell you why this is stupid and Monday Night Raw and all that stuff.
And that's why wrestling is so great, is because of the diversity of the fans out there. Because you have those that you have those people that they watch wrestling and they believe everything they see, the marks, if you will. Like they legitimately think that Dolph Ziggler turned on somebody and he's a bad guy now. And they think he's a bad guy in real life. So they believe that. But then you have those that are kind of smart marks that they understand it. Yeah. They just enjoy it for the theatrics and stuff like that. But you just have all these different fans that love wrestling. And I think that's what makes it great. And I mean, we feel that we get a small portion of that with, and we'll get into this later, but indie fed we work for here locally, Magnum Pro Wrestling. I mean, we get to experience it monthly, and I mean it's interesting to say the very least.
Yeah, that's the one of the things why I really want to do this podcast, is because I'm gonna have different opinions, and you're gonna have people watching and listening are gonna have different opinions than both of us. And we encourage you guys to leave your comments, your thoughts, and all that, and hit us up on Twitter at Tony Pizza Guy, at Jack Lubash, all that fun stuff, and just let us know what you think, because that's what we're trying to go with this show. I mean,
you don't have to call us names to prove your point and stuff like that. I mean, you can call me all the names you want in the book. I don't care, but I think people feel like, well, if I add an F word and call him a dickwad, then I'm gonna prove my point. It's like, well, no. But no, and we are going to have some different opinions on things. Like I know one of the things we're going to talk about is WrestleMania 31 coming up here and the card and stuff like that. And I know of at least one match that we're going to have different opinions on because and you know what it is.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, but let's just like starting off here. I mean, I've already really done a podcast in my like love for wrestling and why I got into wrestling, but I guess we can kind of. I'll turn the table towards you just to start it off a little bit. Like, what would you say, like, your fondest, like, why do you like wrestling? Have you, like, just started liking it now? Did you like it when you were a kid? Like, how did you get into wrestling, and, like, what made you fall in love with it and stuff like that?
I've been watching professional wrestling, WWF, at the time.
Get the F out.
Since I was a little kid, my dad, like, actually would put me on his lap when I was... probably before I could even walk, and watch professional wrestling.
Who was your dad's favorite wrestler? Because I know my dad's favorite wrestler because I remember watching wrestling with him.
I honestly think my dad, he really liked Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, Macho Man, you know, the ones that you're supposed to like and stuff. I don't know, you know, because at the time... Well, let me just start from the beginning here. So yeah, we'd watch wrestling all the time, and like he took me to my first live event and all this stuff, and you know, he actually in 2004 he passed away, and that's kind of why I do the Jack Lubash, because my dad's name was Jack. Yeah, and he's the one that got me into wrestling. So
it's a nice little tribute to your dad.
It's a tribute to my dad and that's why I went with Jack. But you know, he was there through the Attitude Era and all that stuff. And I think he was like most parents were. Once I started acting, like my friends would come over and we'd hit each other in the head with like a freaking cookie sheet or something like that.
And everybody around was crotch chopping.
Right. He was just like, shit, why did I have him watch this and stuff? But, you know, I have fond memories like going to my first WWE event. WWF was... I want to say like 93, 94.
Oh, really?
There was a Raw that came to Omaha at the Civic Auditorium, and it was ridiculous because Civic Auditorium is not very big.
Yeah.
And it was only a half a house, which means they cut the arena in half for this Raw taping.
Oh, really? I didn't know they even did that.
Yeah, and it was just like, I didn't know, one, if it was because they couldn't sell enough tickets to fill the place.
What was it? You said 93?
Yeah, 93, 94, somewhere.
That sounds
around there.
about right. They're probably like Duke the Dumpster Drosy and a bunch of other weird guys. Mantar was around at that time, so.
But it was like, he took me and my one sister, Stacy, and it was the coolest thing. Like, to see it live, that was like the first time I've actually got to see these guys that are on TV in person, and it blew my mind. And then it was just kind of interesting to see, even as a young age, to see like the production behind it.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, we're gonna have this match that's a dark match, and like you can see like the camera guys getting ready and all that stuff. But we went to that. My dad and my mom took me to that In Your House, Good Friends, Better Enemies, where Shawn Michaels took on Diesel for the main event, and we got it was like 6th row or something.
Oh,
like
really?
that.
That's awesome.
Aisle seats, and
that was a great pay-per-view, by the way.
it was, and to experience that with them was cool. And of course, the whole backyard wrestling we did in my backyard is one of the backyards, and I just remember my dad hated that, having everybody over and stuff like that, and it's like, you're killing the grass.
Well, we were like the shittiest group of friends though, because we would be like, whoever was the host of the backyard wrestling was, whether it's your yard or my yard or Mikey Danger's yard or Brian's yard, it was like only the people that actually hosted the backyard wrestling really cared about helping cleaning up and setting up. So and setting up is just laying mattresses or on the ground for me. You did the trampoline thing,
and that's exactly why I did trampoline, because I knew nobody would help with.
I did trampoline too, but then you got to like elaborate and use garden hoses as ropes and did all this crazy stuff. And then one time we built an actual ring over a pool. I don't know why you didn't flip the pool upside down.
That was my, yeah, I know. Well, the reason I didn't, okay, so I had a horse tank pool in my backyard, one of those like giant blue Tupperware bowl looking type of thing.
What do you call it? A giant blue utensil on one of those tapes? Or what was he was calling something? I don't remember.
Something like a giant, huge Rubbermaid utensil.
Yeah, there you go.
But so it was actually the last backyard fed we did. I built a wood frame with posts and stuff. And
by the way, I don't want to stop you, but can you tell everybody what the name of that backyard federation was?
It's actually pretty clever. Yeah, we called it HIV, which stood for Heartland's Illustrious Vengeance. And our whole slogan was "Get Infected." And
that's great, by the way. And then,
it was. We put a lot of effort into our names and stuff like that, except for JWF, Jabroni Wrestling Federation.
Well, do you remember that one
Sorry,
show
Brian.
that we did in the summer, and it was illustrious, and it was an illustrious day in the summer?
HIV,
AIDS.
Yeah, it's we were creative. I'm surprised none of us were killed for some of our ideas that we had, and
you were right next to a golf course, which made it even more entertaining,
and a public park. So it's like you had a golf course over here and a public park over there, and then I was on a busy street too. And depending on where the trampoline was, you could see us wrestling from the street.
It wasn't even like one of those wooden fences. It was a chain link fence, so it was really low to the ground. Like it was up to your waist pretty much. And like
we always had people watching us, and I think that was part of the like. I always wonder like what the golfers think. They're freaking walking by with their golf clubs, and
I wondered what the neighbors thought at any of our houses. Like, what are these kids doing? Don't their parents keep track of them?
I don't know. Well, you got to keep in mind, I was like one of the oldest ones out of our group.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, you guys were like 1-2 years younger than me. I was, keep in mind, 1-2 years older than you. So I felt like a real idiot, because here I am, like, I'm out of high school. You guys are still in high school, and I'm still backyard wrestling. But
well, that was the thing at the time. Like backyard wrestling was huge, like all over America. Like backyard wrestling was like at its peak. Those DVDs came out. I think that was like junior high.
Those DVDs were ridiculous. they have a girl fucking taking her boobs out just to sell more copies of it. I just remember I bought
that was
one.
Tylene Buck. Okay, she was in WCW.
It was so stupid. It was like between every segment, she'd pour water on her t-shirt and rubber boobs.
And when she finally did like show her boobs, it was just like,
it was like a nipple.
Here are my
slip.
nipples, and that was it. And it was like, okay.
But it was smart. It sold DVDs, so
There was one good match where these kids that would like do spots, I remember, but that was about it. All I remember, and
Well,
the rest of it was just beating them shit out of each other.
There was a difference between our backyard wrestling and
Those
the backyard wrestling that was popular. Those kids are like breaking light bulbs over each other's head. They're lighting plywood on fire and getting like power slammed through it. It's just we were like we actually had storylines.
Yeah, we did comedy and storylines and stuff like that more than just like let's throw people on thumbtacks and light tubes and barbed wire. We never did.
It was more technical wrestling for us. I mean, we didn't really do much high flying, but I mean, we wrestled either on mattresses or a trampoline. And like I said, I did the trampoline because we didn't really have to clean up because I knew nobody would help. But the thing about trampolines that sucks is everybody's just bouncing. And like, if you watch our backyard wrestling clips, which Tony might put some up here eventually, but it's a lot of drop kicking because that's all we do.
And what I always think is funny, at least watching your tapes, because it's on a trampoline, a lot of guys would like walk out with shoes and then take them off.
Yeah.
They get in the ring. It's like, oh, what common courtesy that is.
I know.
Then everybody's socks were like black by the end of the shows.
But this was the sad thing about that. Back then, we thought we were good. Like, just taking a trip down memory lane, watching those tapes the other day, I was like, my favorite match, that one I was telling you about with Dr. Thunder, watching, I'm like, okay, this is a pretty shitty match. Why did I like this so much?
Well, to be honest, we're around Magnum too much, and we get all that good wrestling. So
very true.
I think we should switch gears here. I know WrestleMania talk is coming up. We'll get into that a little bit, but I wanted to kind of talk about Magnum Pro for a second and kind of tell them a little bit about what we do for Magnum Pro. So you actually came on to Magnum Pro before I did. And if you want to find out more about Magnum Pro, subscribe on YouTube, youtube.com/Magnum Wrestling, and magnum-pro.com. Check it out. But yeah, you came on before I did. I was just a fan. I went to shows like a long time ago, and then I started going again when Mikey invited me again. And funny stories, I actually like had a huge fight with Mikey and didn't talk to him for like a year.
Surprise, that seems to be like a common thing with a lot of us.
Well, I got a huge fight with him, and I said, the only way I'll be your friend is if you let me bitch you out before we hang out. And then I said everything that pissed me off about him. And then we became friends again. And then he invited me to the Magnum. And it was like at a time when I was really like needing to do stuff like that, like go hang out with people and shit like that. It was cool. And then I saw that you were filming it, and I was like, oh, shit, Jeremy, I haven't seen you since, like, high school. What's going on?
Well, honestly, so, yeah, I went, like, years ago, like, probably 4 years ago or something like that. Mikey Danger is what he goes by. He's our friend that kind of introduced us to each other. He asked me to come watch him because he was getting back in the wrestling ring. I was like, okay, so I went, and, got there. It was at an Eagles club, and honestly, I mean, I hate saying this, but when I first walked in there and saw that the wrestling ring was like on the ground, it wasn't like a high raised up ring or anything like that. I was like, okay, this is going to be pretty shitty.
Well, I think like when I was in like junior high or something, I actually went and saw Mikey wrestle for OWA at some like Best Western Inn in Iowa. So I knew
sounds
like
creepy.
So like I could imagine like you going from like WWE to going to see that. You're like, what the hell? But like I already kind of knew what independent, like, because I saw him at Odin, so I was like, okay, that's what it is.
Well, it's just because like the ceiling at this bingo hall, Eagles Club, is no taller than this. I mean, it's a standard size thing, so it's like you can't do anything off the top rope, and it's just it wasn't a bad show.
Yeah,
it captivated my attention and stuff like that, but. So I went to like a couple of them, and then it was July or so of 2013. Yeah. Mikey asked me if I could if I wanted to like film the shows for him.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh yeah. And I think he was just thinking I was gonna bring like one camera or something like that, or put two cameras or something like that. So I went and I watched a couple shows just to get kind of acquainted, and he's just like, we want you to film, and then we're going to have you commentate. We want you to commentate. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I guess I could do that. And so I went, watched, and he's like, you should talk to the guys, get familiarized with them, and like their move sets and stuff like that, their names and blah, blah, blah. So I did that, and then I asked if I could bring my buddy Michael Laughlin, who's a photographer here locally. ML
locally.
Image, go check him out. He's got some great work. If you like very good-looking girls, nothing pornographic, but you can go check out his stuff. And he's also the official photographer of Magnum Pro Wrestling.
Oh yeah.
But so I asked if he could come along and help me film, and they're like, yeah, sure. So we did 3 camera setup for a few shows and stuff like that, and then that's when we went to Oakland, Nebraska for a show, and that was when I saw you for the first time. And my honest to God reaction when I saw you there was like, wow, he must be like on like a vacation or something, from because my last thing was like, oh, he works for WWE.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, he must have had some time in his schedule to fly
you thought
out.
that I actually worked
Yeah,
for
I didn't know
WWE.
I didn't know you lived here in town. And then that's when Mikey kind of clarified. He's like, well, he works here. So yeah, so that was when I saw you, and I believe it was, I don't know when it was when you started coming on, but it's like, we were,
It was like a couple months after.
yeah, because we were going to January 2014. Yeah, we went to the Firefighters Union Hall in Omaha, Nebraska.
Yeah.
And that was the first time since Oakland that we got to use a high-rise ring and stuff like that. And like AJ Styles was going to be there. He was the main event.
Yeah.
And I just remember I was like, well, AJ Styles is going to be there. We got to get like more cameras. So we did like 4 or 5 camera setup, and I brought my buddy Joe on to help with camera work and stuff. But so yeah, to make a long story short, and I'm not taking credit for it, like for all of us, but myself, you, Joe, Michael, and now Logan Davis, we've taken Magnum to a different level. And again, I'm not saying this as being cocky, but if you look at the first shows that we filmed, it was like, it's insane, because you're in an Eagles club in front of like maybe 60 people.
Yeah.
And now we're at Sokol Auditorium with like 300, 500 so people there watching shows, and the production value is just,
here's the thing. Like when I came on, I don't even think they had a website yet. And I was the one who made the website. They brought me on to make the website. And I was like, okay, I'll do the website for you. And it was like, I built the website. It was fun. It was cool. And I was like, you know what? I know a lot about YouTube. Why don't we try and get your YouTube stuff going? So, like, our idea basically was, how can we keep the shows going when there is no show?
Mm-hmm.
And we want to constantly provide content, interviews, stuff with the wrestlers, promos, stuff like that. And then progressing on as we went on, we actually got a video screen, and then that added a whole nother level to Magnum.
A truss, lighting system, and all this stuff. We got a taste of it for that show in January with AJ Styles, because we got to borrow a local band, like they're trussing their lights, their fog, and it was just this elaborate setup. And when I was there, I'm like, we've got to duplicate this. I mean, we have to keep going.
Yeah,
like
we had
this.
to.
And we've done a hell of a good job now with that. But yeah, it's my motto is go big or go home. I mean, that's how I've always lived life. Like, I mean, I've always done things like I did a haunted house in my parents' 2-car garage.
Yeah.
And I treated that thing like it was a freaking actual haunted house that you pay money to go through. And that's kind of like this. And it's like, this is all fun. Like, wrestling is one of those things where, like, yeah, as a kid, I was like, yeah, I'm going to be a wrestler when I get older. But as you get older, it's like, yeah, no, that's really not going to happen. That's a lot of work, and I'm definitely not athletic enough to do that. But, we all have our strengths in what we do.
Yeah.
And, like, I no longer do the video recording. I'm like you. We are the voices of Magnum Pro.
Like commentary.
We do commentary. We do interviews. We're now wrestlers now, I guess, since we both have taken a bump in the ring. But
whatever that
was
means.
Not my idea to do that. But it's just we want to make it fun for everybody. And it's for those of you that aren't in like the wrestling business. I mean, yeah, we're on a smaller scale than WWE, but I mean, it's very similar. Like, you get to experience things, and it's the atmosphere sometimes can be very tense.
Yeah,
and
because there's like.
Egos.
There's a small group of us as well, and so when something goes wrong, it's always pointing the finger at somebody else, because you don't want to be the one that screws it up, pretty much. I mean, not saying I haven't screwed anything up, because I've screwed up with things before, but when you're on Magnum, it's like it's such a smaller niche thing where like anything wrong can be like, oh, this is the end of Magnum. We're
Right.
screwed. And it's like, no, just breathe for a second and move on.
Right.
Maybe we didn't draw as much as we should have one show, so let's figure out what we did wrong and make the next show even better. And that's what you got to do. And it's crazy because I feel like Magnum got, and I'm not going to say like super popular, but I'll say like popular in this area because it's way more popular and better production and better everything at a perfect time, because I feel like independent wrestling finally started to make a comeback.
Oh yeah.
Right around the time that Magnum was starting to get good again. And I think that's like, people just don't want to watch the WWE stuff anymore. And the stuff that they do watch, they're not happy with. And it's like, so they want to seek out other stuff that'll, like Magnum can give you stuff like chair shots and weapon matches and sometimes blood. And sometimes you get to see some scantily clad women. Like WWE doesn't do that anymore. And so there's all kinds of things you can find on independent wrestling that you can't find in the WWE, and that's I think why it catches on with so many people.
Right, and the level that Magnum Pro is on is it's a perfect level to try things out, test things out.
Mm-hmm.
We tried rock and wrestling. I don't think it fully failed.
No,
it was entertaining, but the ticket sales weren't what we were expecting it to be, but there's a number of reasons for that. It was the fact that it was less than 2 weeks from our other show that we'd just done. It was a Friday, and Saturdays are the better day to do an independent show.
Right. If you're not familiar with rock and wrestling, we tried to have a band, Arson City, and we tried to have wrestling and mix it all together into one big thing, because the venue we're in, Sokol Auditorium, is actually a music venue.
Right.
So we're the only people wrestling out of it. So we're going to combine both of it and take over the world. But Valentine's Day weekend on a Friday, I don't think it was our time.
No, it didn't. But I will say this: the wrestlers, Arson City, everybody. I mean, they were cranking out. Arson City was playing their heart and souls out. The guys were wrestling their heart and souls out. I mean, it was under 200 people draw, but those 200 people that were there, they got a hell of a show and they enjoyed it. And I mean, it's one of those things where we tried it, and now we know you can't do a show that close to another one. You shouldn't do it on a Friday, and you shouldn't do it the day before Valentine's Day.
It's just
we
one
know
of those
that now, and
things
it's an expensive lesson, but
you live and you learn, and then you figure out what you did wrong, and you go on, like I said before. But that's some of the fun, though, right? Because let's talk about that live NXT special that I put on. That was a ginormous failure. But then you
put that on me.
You learn from it, though. You learn, like, okay, maybe there's something I did wrong, and you figure out what you did wrong, and then it's a good learning experience, whether it costs you a bunch of money or not. It's just something you have to learn.
And not that I didn't hear anything bad from people that were there.
No, the people that were there loved it.
But it's just like,
I'm just saying, as far as like, if you're a business owner and you're expected X amount of people and X amount of money to come back to you, and you don't get that, then it's not a success.
Right.
And that's it.
And I know you'll get this point. Well, it's easy for you to say it's not your money that's being spent. Yeah, we understand that, but it's like at the same time, I've joined Magnum, and I'm not in Magnum for the money. I've said that numerous times, and I'll swear on a Bible that that's true to me. I do it for the love of it, and it's a passion. But I'm trying everything, all the ideas I give out, and I'm thankful that I'm to that point in Magnum to where my opinions matter, and they use a lot of my ideas. But everything I'm doing is to try to make Magnum better, make Magnum more money. And I mean, I'm not tooting my own horn, but the ideas that I've had, I think, have worked. And I mean, we've gotten the finger pointed at the production team that rock and wrestling not being the draw it was our fault. Well, okay, whatever. I mean, if that's how people feel,
if it's our fault, I'll take the blame.
I'll take the blame for it, because I think it was a successful show, and I think if we did another one, I think it's going to be huge. And not saying anything, but I at least got off my ass, and like I contacted Arson City and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, we made it happen, and I don't have any ill feelings towards rock and wrestling at all. I think it was one of the funner shows that we've done.
It was a great show. Like, overall, it was awesome.
Fantastic.
Arson City rocked the house. I'd love to go see Arson City, not even at a rock and wrestling show, just to see them. But you know what? I don't know.
The most important thing to remember is I love Magnum. I love being in Magnum. I'm grateful to Mikey for asking me to do this, and I'm grateful for Nate for keeping me on to do what I do. And I mean, I'm going to give over 100% every time. And again, it's a thank you to you. It's a thank you to Joe O'Connor. It's a thank you to Michael Laughlin. It's a thank you to Logan Davis. It's a thank you to Chrissy Davis, who helps out. Danielle Peterson. That's her last name, right?
Yeah, works on the gym.
Because I don't like know her last name.
That didn't sound very good.
She works the jib very well. No, but they're all fantastic at what they do. And
big shout out to everybody, all the boys.
Oh yeah,
Mason
guys.
Patrick, the best referee. Even Pete Sanctions, he doesn't give enough credit.
Dude,
I mean, whether he's good, bad, or ugly, I still say he goes out there and gives it his all.
Everybody that's involved in Magnum, they're key to Magnum's success. And we've had guys like Stevie Richards. Stevie Richards wants to come back. He loved it being there.
He's the guy who said this was one of the best locker rooms I've ever been in, and that's saying something.
It is. And for those of you need to check out Magnum Pro, like Tony said.
We had Drew Galloway on there as well.
Galloway,
and Drew Galloway went out to the bars and drinking, and that's a whole nother day for a whole nother discussion.
Golly.
But it was crazy. But like I said, just check us out, magnum-pro.com. Check out the YouTube videos, and we have some free matches going up soon, so it's going to be great.
Yeah, tomorrow, which would be Monday, March 2nd. I don't know when this will air.
This will probably go up soon. Tuesday, maybe.
Well,
it's already on YouTube.
You're hearing this, so you can go to magnum-pro.com and you can check out the Sokol street fight, which is between Joey Anderson and Sean Niles. A pretty bloody, gruesome match. These guys really tore up the house. We're giving that away for free, so you should go check that out just so you can get an idea of what Magnum Pro is, both wrestling, production value, all that stuff, and you will be able to listen to. Well, I'm not talking. I was injured at that show, but you can hear Anthony's lovely voice and Mikey Danger. But yeah, let's
well, you know what, I wanted to talk about WrestleMania 31. We know the card, or sort of some of the card here.
I have it pulled up here on this website. But
before we get into, I'm kind of trying to make it a nice way to segue between Marks and WrestleMania. Let's talk about Marks. Let's talk about Marks first, and then we'll go into the WrestleMania card and our thoughts on WrestleMania and stuff like that. So we will actually be going to WrestleMania. I'm actually flying out there, and you're taking a trip with Logan, Chrissy, and one of their friends, I believe. Mm-hmm. So we're going to go there, and we're going to film Marks. Now, Marks is our documentary about you, the wrestling fans. You might have seen the Indiegogo page. If it's already expired, it's already expired, but anybody that did back it, we are saying we're sticking to our guns. I know we've had sort of arguments about it, but I think we're going to stick with our guns and say anybody that backed it are still going to get those rewards, because I feel that we're going to already print T-shirts. We're probably already going to sell DVDs. We're probably already going to sell the posters. So we'll give you the rewards. And just so you know, if you backed us, those rewards are not like immediate. They don't just happen right now. Like, you don't get that right away. It'll be more towards the end of the movie. So it might be a while, but just to let you know, we're going to be following through with the Marks documentary, whether we get the funding or not. We're going to keep the funding. We want to thank you for the people that did fund it thus far.
Thank you very much. Really do appreciate it.
But we, if you want to check out, eventually I'm going to make a website. I'm probably going to put it up soon because the Indiegogo goes over. But imamark.com, and you can follow all the updates and stuff like that. We'll probably start doing like journals and blogs and stuff. You'll see on this YouTube channel as well. We'll talk about it on the OMG Wrestling Podcast. But we basically just want to document you guys, the wrestling fans. Big announcement we made a while ago that Frank the Clown is going to be in it.
Woohoo!
And we do want, I guess we can announce it on this podcast. We haven't talked about it, but Noelle Foley's going to be on the documentary as well. Mrs. Foley's baby boy, baby girl, I guess is how you say that. So
yeah, this documentary was Anthony's idea. And I don't even know how we got on the subject, but we were talking about, because I write and direct horror films, and I've had this idea for a horror film that I had written, and Tony's just like, well, we should see if we can raise money on Indiegogo and stuff like that. And he's like, I'll play it on my YouTube channel and stuff like that and see if people will help back it and stuff. And then I don't know how we got on the subject, but we were just like,
I think I told you my idea. I was like,
and I was just like, yeah, why don't we do this instead? I was like, it's your YouTube, it's your subscribers.
Yeah.
It's wrestling related. So screw my my movie, let's do this Marks video, because I mean, it's honestly a wrestling documentary about wrestling fans. Never been done before.
Yeah, and this is going to be
a
huge.
unique story to tell, because I mean, unlike other documentaries where you only have a certain amount of people, I mean, there's millions upon millions of wrestling fans out there, and we want to get as many of them as we possibly can on this, because like I said, you've got some that they believe everything they see.
Yeah.
And then you have some that they understand how it works and stuff like that. They just enjoy the entertainment aspect of it. And so, you know, we've actually, Logan Davis is on board with this. He's the other one that's going to be helping out. I mean, the three of us spent hours in this room that we're in right now with our marker board, which you can't see, which is behind us over there. And I mean, we spent hours just writing down like the plot of it, what we want to do, our dream wrestling federations we want to go to. We budgeted out, which we got to about $75,000, and that's what we put on our Indiegogo, and didn't even break $200.
Well, for better or for worse, whatever. I'd rather go out there and put a realistic budget down so people know what to expect, and not be like, you know, raise a little bit of money, be like, oh well, we can't make the movie because we actually needed $75,000. We thought we'd only need $2,000. So I'd rather be upfront and realistic and honest with you guys before we try to go out there and be like, yeah, we only need $1,000, and then down the road it's like, we're broke, we can't make the movie, sorry.
And like we've always said, like whether we made budget or not, we were still going to make this. It's just without the budget, it's going to take a little bit longer.
I mean, I'm reaching out to additional resources, like people on YouTube and stuff like that. But the biggest, I guess, resource that you guys can be is just to like share the idea of imamark.com and the concept of what we're trying to put here. Whether you want to send us money,
send $1. I mean, if everybody,
PayPal and stuff, I'll put a PayPal link in the description as well. But if you want to do that, you can. If you don't, you don't have to. But just spreading the word about it, and know that Frank the Clown is on board, and Noel Foley's on the board.
And this is one thing about that we've discussed with Frank being on board. And I don't know if people don't know who Frank the Clown is, but I mean, he's basically
he's the WWE super fan who you see dressed like a clown.
Yeah, and he's like in like the first row, second row, whatever, at a lot of events, and he is dating Mick Foley's daughter right now. And so, you know, we're gonna kind of like follow them around and stuff like that. I mean, just it's an interesting story that in itself. I mean, a wrestling mark, a fan dating the daughter of a legendary wrestler like Mick Foley. I mean, how does that happen?
Yeah, we want to tell that story. That's only a piece of the puzzle, but that's a pretty big piece. Pretty much like, how does a guy who dresses up like a clown, one, become famous?
Right.
Like he
says, nothing against him. I mean, I think the whole Frank the Clown thing is freaking amazing.
He tells us stories about like Kofi Kingston and Big E like freaking out about him, and it's like, what?
Yeah,
you kidding me? And then for him to do that, and then also, how does he fall in love with Mick Foley's daughter?
Right.
And how does like Mick Foley allow this? And like, because you think that would be like one of the most, like a wrestler's daughter would be like one of the most protected things ever. So it'll be an interesting story, and we're starting at WrestleMania this year. And our goal is to end next year at WrestleMania, but...
And can I just... let me just throw in one other thing. This is an important thing, and this is God honest truth. This documentary we're doing about the fans is in no way making fun of wrestling fans.
Oh, no.
I know a lot of people might get that misconception that, oh, well, these guys are just going to make fun of wrestling fans that believe it's real. So I'm a wrestling fan. I'm a mark. I mean, there was a time when I was younger where I thought wrestling was real, but it's just like, we're not making fun of anybody here. We're not making fun of Frank the Clown. We're not going to make fun of Noel Foley or Mick Foley. This is just to explain how wrestling fans are.
Well,
and how things happen.
Here's the idea that I always had. Like, the reason I really want to make this is because I think that the wrestling fans are sometimes bigger, but mostly just as big a part of the show as the wrestlers. Like, you have a wrestler who can be made or crushed based on how the crowd reacts. Right. And that's a huge thing. And there's no other form of entertainment out there like that. Like, if Kobe Bryant got booed, they wouldn't care as long as he still performed in the game.
Right, and he's still getting paid billions of dollars.
And so then it's like, wrestling, if a guy gets booed, the WWE might not like that, and they might take him off. So, and the thing about wrestling is like we said earlier, it's the most vocal form out there. If
Right.
people don't like it, they won't like it, and they'll go to the alternatives. And that's one of the other things we want to cover is the alternatives, like PWG and I guess NXT, even though it's still under WWE brand, but
Right. Ring of
Honor, all that stuff. We want to
Chikara
cover it all. CZW possibly. Gathering of the Juggalos we want to go to as well.
with Frank the Clown.
With Frank the Clown is a great idea. But it's just something where you get the crowd like the PWG crowd, which is a crazy crowd because you have like celebrities. Like Dave Meltzer was just there the other day. Ronda Rousey was there. You see like local comedians are there and stuff like that. And then like for them to like Dave Meltzer, who's like a wrestling journalist and bases everything on like 5 stars and only like certain matches get 5 stars. Somebody asked him and said, "Hey Dave, I got to ask you about PWG. Do you think these guys do too much flip stuff and need to slow down?" And he came back and said, "No, it was like one of the most fun experiences in my life, and that's what wrestling is supposed to be." And that's the kind of atmosphere that I want to get into. It's just like the fans who just love it regardless of what it is. Like you won't find the type of crap you see, not crap, but the flips and stuff at PWG. You won't find that in WWE ever. Yeah. And just to be able to like document the fans there who like standing room only, and they have like a whole beer in their hand, and
it's
a pitcher of beer.
It's that old school Attitude Era feeling. I think that's what indie feds pretty much are these days. I mean, you know, I understand. We'll get into this later, but I understand WWE has guidelines they have to follow and stuff like that, and they do things for certain reasons. But yeah, like you had said, we're going to start this journey for this documentary at WrestleMania 31, which I'm pretty excited about because it's my first WrestleMania I've ever gotten to go to. I'm pretty psyched. I've also never been to California.
Well, that'll be fun. I've only been there one time before.
It's going to be interesting. As you said, you're flying out there.
Yeah.
We're driving because we have the equipment that we need to take out there.
Yeah,
and,
of course.
There's not enough room for everybody to fit in this car.
So, you wanted to get a Winnebago, but I don't think that's going to fly.
I still want to get a Winnebago. That's still one of my dreams, to take a journey across the country in a Winnebago. But no, it's going to be very fun. We're going to meet up with like Frank the Clown out there and Noel, and we're going to shoot some stuff with them. We're going to interview other wrestling fans out there. We're probably maybe Brock Lesnar guy and Sign guy and all that stuff because they're super fans, wrestling fans, and
we're also going to take the OMG podcast out there as well, so we can interview some of the wrestlers and get you guys some scoops with the wrestlers and let them know what their favorite WrestleMania moment is of all time. Apparently, Logan says that's the worst question to ask ever, so I won't ask that question.
Tony possibly might be going head-to-head with Paul Heyman. With
right. That'd be ridiculous.
I'm depending on how I feel that day, I may do the interview with him.
I would love to see that.
I will. If Paul Heyman buries me, which is more than likely what's going to happen, that'll be fantastic.
Hey man, I stood toe to toe with an angry Stevie Richards. I think I could handle an angry Paul Heyman.
I stood toe-to-toe with Drew Galloway when he was presented with a My Little Pony.
The revolution is in full force.
But it's going to be a fun time.
So like Marks, we're going to start at WrestleMania, and then we're going to travel to a bunch of indie shows around, and possibly going to NXT as well, and then PWG, and then we'll see where we're going to go after that. But ultimately, we want to end at WrestleMania 32.
Right.
And kind of close the book on the story at WrestleMania 32. Like, I'd see WrestleMania 31 is like, all right, here we go. This is what wrestling is all about. This is, like, for people who don't really know, like,
showcase of immortals.
This is insane. Look at all these fans. Why is it so popular? And we'll talk about, and that's going to be kind of like what I picture WrestleMania 31. It's like the beginning of our journey. Like, look at all this shit. And then after that, we can be like, and look at this little guy down here who's like...
Look at these guys that are performing in front of 60 people, but getting the reactions that these guys...
Yeah, so it's gonna be crazy. Like, just to see the highs and lows of wrestling and the fans.
And the difference in fans, because it's just like, obviously you got WWE fans, which are going to be the little kids and stuff like that, like, I like John Cena. And then you go to... like a PWG where like the youngest person there is probably like 21 years old and got the beer and they're excited. So
and then you go to the middle of like, I don't know, Iowa or somewhere, and you got Cletus who thinks it's real.
You're going to have a lot of Cletuses in Iowa.
So we're gonna get it all, capture it all. No offense to Cletus if you're listening.
Hell
Thank
no.
you for
Like
listening.
we said, nobody in here. Anything we say is not to make fun of anybody. I mean, if it wasn't, we're all wrestling fans. We say
Right.
we share that same.
And I think that's something that we all lose sometimes as wrestling fans. I think we all, instead of being a fan of wrestling, we're all like to just like, no, I'm a fan of TNA. Fuck WWE. And it's like,
Right.
I'm a fan of Ring of Honor. Fuck WWE. I'm a fan of WWE. Fuck anything else. It's like, we're all wrestling fans. We're all like under the same umbrella. We could all be fans of, you know, if you don't like Ring of Honor, and I do, it doesn't matter. We both like wrestling, and that's the point of having it. But I think nowadays people get too caught up in it, and they're like, well, I'm only a blah, blah, blah fan, and you're stupid if you don't like it.
Well, this is the thing. Like, out of all the wrestling out there right now, WWE is like my least favorite. Because it's so boring and it's like so watered down. But do I hate it? No. Am I going to stop watching it? No. I mean, I don't watch it religiously like I used to.
Yeah.
Just because it's like, you know, it's there's no entertainment. Like they're called World Wrestling Entertainment. There's no real entertainment behind it. I mean, everything is so basic and like I have on my computer right here. I'm on the WWE website and it's got their little thing scrolling across the pictures, and I'm looking at a picture of Jon Stewart with Seth Rollins behind him. It's like, why are we having Jon Stewart involved with Seth Rollins? Seth Rollins should be in main event. He should be the champion right now. He's one of their best wrestlers.
I know.
We're gonna put him in a storyline with Jon Stewart.
To the credit of Jon Stewart, he's a huge wrestling fan, and
I don't give a shit. I mean, it shouldn't. We're like you said, we're wrestling fans. Okay, we can agree on that, but why does he get put on television?
WWE wants to get some buzz based off of his show and the show's ending. So
I don't know that.
I think it's going to turn out where Jon Stewart pins Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. No, I'm just kidding.
That's probably sad, but true. That's probably what's going to happen.
I was just kidding on that one.
It's one of those things. Like, it's fantastic. Jon Stewart's a wrestling fan. That's great, but I don't think he has any business being on WWE television.
Did Jon Stewart just win our world title?
Yeah. And
he beats Brock Lesnar.
What's creeping me out is they have a picture of Dolph Ziggler getting punched by Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig, on the website too, and it's like, it's creepy because that match never happened, but it looks like it happened. But I'm getting off subject here. But no, wrestling, it's fantastic. I love it. It'll always be a part of my life, and this documentary is like, hopefully it takes off. I mean, I really think people. I'm not doing this. I didn't come on board for the fame.
Yeah, I didn't really like come on like.
I'm not even looking at like making money off of this.
Or like to the fact where it's like, dude, I want to be a big star in this movie. No, because I don't even really want to be in the movie. I want to make it about everybody else, and it's like Mikey said, which he's just a doubter, which is fine. People can be doubters. That's fine. That's why I strive to do.
Well, I'm that person that I'm the what's it? Not negative Nelly, but
negative Nancy.
No, the devil's advocate.
Okay.
For this documentary, because it's like, I've done a lot of movie making and stuff like that, and I know how things work. And I mean, I'm putting out the things to you and Logan that are probably realistically going to happen that we need to try to overcome. And I'm not doing it to be a dick and say, let's not do the documentary. I'm doing it because it's like,
I know
it's gonna happen. Like the whole Indiegogo thing of like, do we keep the donations that we have?
Yeah.
But we still have to honor the prizes and stuff like that, or that the people get. And it's just like, my thing is I'd give the money back, because if we don't make these t-shirts and we don't end up making the documentary, now we owe these people money. And yeah, we could easily just send them their money back, or they might be like, well, yeah, you can just keep the money. It's just to help you out or whatever. But it's just like, this day and age, people are out to sue for everything. And it's like,
yeah, but
I would hate our first documentary. We get a lawsuit.
We're not
and
getting
the way
a lawsuit.
The way the law works, we're going to lose, and this person's we're going to owe this person.
No problem. Indiegogo works in a nice way like that. But like, it was the whole point I was bringing about Mikey being a negative Nancy was that he was saying, you're not going to make any money off this movie. And I'm like, if I really wanted to make money off this movie, I wouldn't be making this movie. I'm not in it to make like $1 billion. Like, it's an idea I had when I was a little kid growing up, always wanted to make this movie, and now I'm finally going to do it. And it's just one of those things where Yeah, if I make a bunch of money, cool. If I don't, cool. I just want to make it.
Isn't it sad at this day and age that that's the first thing that everybody just assumes you're doing something for is money? Like it's not. I mean, yeah, money is fantastic. Do I have money? No. I mean, I someday I would like with this movie thing. Yeah, I've been doing it for several years now, and I mean, yeah, I'm better off than I was a year ago with like making money off things, but like wrestling, you've got to pay your dues.
Yeah.
Things aren't going to be handed to you. You got to do things. You got to make sacrifices. The modeling group that I run, I mean, one of the ladies that helped us out, she's just like, you have to give a lot before you will start to get. And it's just like, over time, if we make money off this, fantastic. It'll probably get put towards another project that we do.
That's exactly that's the idea too, is just to like keep reusing what we make to make things better. Like, I don't expect to make $1 million off this movie. If it happens, it happens. But I want to make a movie that I'm proud of, and that's something I can say, look, this is what I did. I went out there and I made this movie, and I'm proud of it. So you should watch it. And it's more like just creating art over like money. Like artists never make any money, and that's kind of what I'm trying to do. Is like, not saying I'm a fucking artist because I make YouTube videos, but I will say this, that I did YouTube for like a year, 2 years almost before I got paid for it, and that was just because I wanted to do YouTube. So like you said, it's one of those things where you gotta take a lot to make a lot, whatever you said.
Yeah, it takes money to make money.
I don't know what you're saying, but
you have to give a lot in order to finally get some.
Yeah,
you have to pay your dues. And I'm not doing this to like, okay, well, if we get press passes at WrestleMania to go talk to, I'm not doing this to try to talk to wrestlers.
Yeah.
I mean, if people know me, I'm not I don't get starstruck. Like I've done a lot of movies locally and stuff like that. And we've had some celebrities on and stuff like that. And it's like, I don't get starstruck. My one job that I had where I did security at the CenturyLink Center for concerts and stuff, I got to meet a lot of the artists and stuff there. It's not, I don't care. I don't do autographs. I don't go up to wrestlers like Shawn Michaels was at World of Wheels. He was supposed to be at World of Wheels today in Omaha, and he didn't show up. But it's just like, somebody asked if I wanted to go, and Logan, and I just said, no, I'm going to pass because I'm not going to pay the money to get into this venue because, one, I'm not going to get an autograph from Shawn Michaels, even though growing up he was like my idol.
Yeah.
And two, I'm not going to take a picture because what am I going to do with that stuff? I'm not.
Right. I'm in the same way. Like, it was even like, I think I kind of regret not getting Drew Galloway's signature because when I hung out with him, he was really cool and like he was one of the coolest guys ever. But I wouldn't do anything with it. I just think it'd be cool to get it. But I don't think I was like one of the only people there, including like wrestlers and stuff, who didn't take a picture with Drew Galloway. I'm like, God, I should have taken a picture. I think taking a picture with him would have been cool.
To shake their hand is cool to me. That's like the payoff. Like,
I just want to put it on my Instagram and get all those hits.
Yeah, right. Well, that's the thing. It's like a picture. Yeah, I might do a picture depending on the circumstances, but like I'm not going to stand in line to get a picture taken with somebody, and I'm not going to stand in line to talk to them and say the stereotypical thing of like, oh my God, I loved you in this, and no. I mean, I this is like I said, it's all about the project. Like, I think this needs to be done. This documentary about the fans needs to be done because, like you said, they are just a big a part of the show, if not more than the wrestlers themselves. And I'm also using this for when we do interviews and stuff like that. It's a way for me to practice and get better for like Magnum Pro, doing interviews and stuff like that, because that's what we're doing. And when I am asked to do something, I want to do it the very best I can.
Right.
And so this documentary will, like we said, probably be a year in the making, start at WrestleMania 31, end at WrestleMania 32. And it's something that, we're not going to beg you for money.
Right.
But any little bit helps. Like I said, even if you donate $1, $2, if everybody did that on your page, just think of the money that we would have to make this documentary that much more better. I mean, we're going to make it the best we can.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things. If you can't donate, at least spread the word. Let's get the word out there. And I mean, we're going to be very appreciative. We'll get you and the thank yous for anything that you do.
Yeah, for sure.
If you want to be in the documentary and come out to Omaha where we're at, we'll interview you. Why not?
We'll see where this goes, but again, like you said, just spread the word, and we thank you for all that you do, and you know what? We'll see where this goes. It's going to be interesting. WrestleMania. Like I said, we'll have more content coming up for you regarding the movie. So
segue into WrestleMania 31.
Well, before we get there, which we're going to hold people off on this, let's talk about a couple things that happened in WWE recently. Let's talk about Rey Mysterio leaving WWE. He recently just left.
About time.
I think he was on like this. He showed up on AAA one time at AAA Mania and just like was on their video screen, and he's like, "I'm coming to AAA," and it was like, he's under WWE contract. How is he doing this? And I think it really pissed off WWE. And
by the way, that was the best Rey Mysterio impression I've ever heard. I thought he was sitting across from me.
So then Rey decided that I don't want to work for WWE anymore. They're not giving me what I want. And the thing with WWE is like Rey's old and like his knee gives out every 5 seconds. So why would we want him around? So Rey's done. I think the only thing he's up for now, the only thing that really I know of is that he is going to be at WrestleCon signing autographs, so that should be fun. Not going to say anything about WrestleCon being bad because I would go to the wrestling show. If you've never been to WrestleCon, I would check it out, but just know that you're going to have a fat wallet when you walk in that door, hence the name WrestleCon. It's a great atmosphere.
I see what you did there.
I love the Cole Cabana podcast. I love just like walking around and seeing the sights and the spectacle and everything, and then there was a wrestling show, and like the whole thing is great. But an autograph for like the Steiner brothers was like $200, and I'm like, I don't think so for that one. Thank you, but no thanks. And it's just I understand because you think about these old wrestlers, and a lot of them do not get paid for that footage that's on the WWE Network, and they're getting shit on. They're not making any money off the WWE Network, so it's like you see like these old guys like that have wrestled for years and years, like AWA and NWA and WCW and all that, like they don't get any money from it. It's just WWE just keeps it all. It's like, well, it's our video library. You can't do anything about it. So it's like they don't make any money off of it. It's like it's crazy to think about. So
with Mysterio, I mean, I love Rey Mysterio. That guy did some crazy ass shit in his career in WWE and WCW. And
coming into WWE, he got billed as a huge star, and he took off.
His debut match against Kurt Angle, that was amazing. I remember that match like vividly and stuff like that, and it was just like, wow, this guy is just the flips and Hurricane Rana and the speed that he does things. But there came a time like a few years ago where it's just like, all right, this guy needs to call it quit. I mean, he would make a return, and at like 2 matches, like he'd do like 2 pay-per-views, and then he'd injure his knee at the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And he was out, and then he'd make his return, and then he was out a couple months later with his knee. I mean, there comes a time when you just need to be like, enough is enough. I need to quit. Big Show. But it's
Big Show's a WWE guy for life. He's got the ironclad contract, remember?
God,
I don't remember that deal, that storyline.
So like,
but there's the thing though, Rey just can't handle, like he can't do the stuff he used to do anymore, and like his style was so crazy. Like the stuff he did, he shouldn't have wrestled as long as he did anyway.
No.
But it's like, do you want to see a Rey Mysterio who goes around and does headlocks and rest holds? I don't think so.
No, you can't take away what he did in the past. And I mean, a lot of guys that are in the business now are mirroring Rey Mysterio and
Kalisto on NXT.
Right. But again, like I said, there comes a time where enough is enough. And I don't know if there's truth to it, but like, what's Rey Mysterio charging independent feds?
I think if you would like to book Rey Mysterio to wrestle at your independent wrestling promotion, $20,000, not $2,000, $20,000. That's more than John Morrison wants. And if you know that, that's
I don't like to say things like this, but if there's any wrestling promotion out there that forks out $20,000 for Rey Mysterio to come wrestle at their show, I want to know about it. I want to come down there. I'll pay for my ticket just so I can slap you in your face, because there is nobody worth spending $20,000 for on an independent level to have someone like Rey Mysterio.
The only 2 companies that I could say that they probably wouldn't spend $20,000, but they would come to some sort of agreement to get Rey. They would be Ring of Honor and Lucha Underground are the only 2 American ones I see. If he showed up in PWG and wrestled there, my mind would blow, and I'd be like,
Well,
oh my God, Rey Mysterio and PWG.
The thing is, he can't, like, at Lucha Underground, he can't keep up with them with his knees. I mean, it's just like you said, it's not. But
that show's booked like a movie, so they could do something to write it in.
True,
because I don't know.
It's ridiculous. And I said the reason he probably charges $20,000 is because he probably knows his knee is going to get injured, and that probably covers his costs at the emergency room for the surgery. But I don't know.
I mean, he is a former. I mean, he's one of the big. Like, he's a household name. Everybody know. Like, kids know Rey Mysterio. He's
right.
If you said Rey Mysterio, kids would go, "Oh my God, it's the Mexican guy
with the mask." And that's the thing. Like I said, I'm not taking away anything he's done in his past, but I mean, should be a wake up call that it really is time to hang up those boots, or you can stay and compete on the independent level, but you might want to cut your price down. I mean, he could probably get away with charging like $6,000-$7,000 to appear at an independent show.
Yeah, I could see that. And then
$20,000.
He could go lower, and then he could just do. Maybe he does. Maybe like those guys that charge lower prices go like to a ton of federations. Like they go all over. But maybe he just wants to do like a couple independent appearances, and 20,000 is like, I'll do this one for 20,000. I'll do this one for 20,000. I did 2 a year. I'm set for the rest of my year.
Isn't Dominic should be old enough to where he could probably support his dad?
Yeah,
now.
Dominic
on a pole.
You're my poppy. Oh man, that was ridiculous. So
best of luck to Rey Mysterio. I mean,
best of luck to Rey in all of his future endeavors, and hopefully that you don't blow out your knee somewhere. I don't know.
His meniscus.
My meniscus, man. Someone posted this funny picture. I don't know where it was on Twitter. I was just scrolling through my Twitter. It's like, Ray, thanks for the memories. And it was like 4 pictures of Ray holding his knee.
Well, you know what my Mysterio memory was when he was strapped to that gurney board, and the Big Show smacked him up against the ring post. That had to hurt like. And
still,
mother.
like you said, the match against Kurt Angle was a huge one for me too. That was a big memory.
Or getting lawn darted in WCW into a trailer by the NWO.
I'm just thinking WWE stuff, but yeah, that was great. I'm Your Poppy stuff was really good too with Eddie, and he suplexed Ray on those steel steps. It was ridiculous.
And the thing we have to remember is we will see Rey Mysterio again in WWE because rightfully so, he needs to be in the Hall of Fame. If they don't put him in the WWE Hall of Fame,
right.
Then that would be messed up, in my opinion.
Right, yeah, I see that. So hopefully he comes back for the Hall of Fame.
Which will probably be this year because they don't waste time putting people in the Hall of Fame anymore.
No, not at all. They're supposed to be, speaking of Hall of Fame, we'll talk about this a little bit. There's supposed to be a Diva announcement for the Hall of Fame as well. I thought we were all done with it, but I don't know.
What's her real name? Alundra Blaze.
Okay, so you're predicting her to come in?
Yeah.
I thought she already was, wasn't she?
No. Well, the thing is, like, they're running out of people to put in there, and so
next year they're gonna have Bull Nakano.
Her whole thing of dropping the women's title in the trash can in WCW, I think that pretty much like sealed the deal that you're not stepping foot in WWE ever again. But I really think that they're hurting. They need a diva, and so my prediction is that it's going to be Alundra Blaze because I mean, who else is there? I mean, Sonny's in there, Lita, Trish. No.
I loved her, man. Come on. Like, eventually we'll get Karma, even though she didn't do anything in WWE. And then,
well, they'll probably start putting current divas that are on the roster
no,
in there now.
The next, when they start putting somebody like Kelly or like Maurice will probably be in it. Or, Michelle McCool probably could be in there. I like Michelle McCool. She was great.
Well, I don't think she did enough to
multi-time women. She was at a time when the Divas division was dying.
She had a short career, though. It wasn't a very long career.
She still held that title so many times with Layla.
Is she still married to The Undertaker?
I think so.
That would be the only reason
she'll probably get in it. But there's a short list of divas, and I think when they start getting Kelly in there, which no offense to Kelly, but I just think that
hello.
They started putting her in it. I did admire Kelly though because she worked really hard and she was like
I had a huge crush on
she was
Kelly
one of those girls that wanted to work to get to the women's championship or divas or whatever it was at the time. But kudos to her. Right. So pissed off wrestler Rey Mysterio. Let's talk about another pissed off wrestler, Brock Lesnar. So Brock Lesnar. Apparently, the story with Brock Lesnar is that he got in an argument I think it was over his contract signing. I could be wrong with that, but uh, the thing with WWE is I don't think they actually have Brock for another year yet. I can't. There hasn't been a real talk about what his contract is like coming back after WrestleMania. Everybody wonders, well, if he stays around another year, will Roman Reigns beat him at WrestleMania, or is he not going to stay around another year? Nobody knows. And apparently, he got in a heated argument at Raw. He was actually announced on WWE.com, I believe, that he was going to be on Monday Night Raw. And he was not on Monday Night Raw. So uh, getting pissed off and just leaving. And then they had Paul Heyman fill in, which is fine because Paul Heyman does great work. So I would be happy with Paul Heyman talking until WrestleMania. That would sell the feud for me. But Brock Lesnar showed up at the UFC pay-per-view. And you can actually see a funny picture online of Brock Lesnar laughing. You could see him like in the crowd, just like smiling at this huge smile during one of the fights, and that was great. And then there was stuff of him talking with Dana White apparently at that show. So rumors are flying around if he's going back to UFC or not. But I will say, well, let me ask you: if you're Brock Lesnar, and you pretty much can do whatever the hell you want in WWE because apparently that's what's going on here. He can walk all over them and do whatever he wants. Do you stay around in the WWE and rake in the money and hold the title, or do you go to UFC and try and compete again? Because now that he's better, whatever, title, what is that? I don't even know the word.
Bless you.
that disease he had. I can't remember. Diverticulitis? No, I don't remember. Diverticulitis. I'm going to get shit on for that one. But do you try to compete back in? Because think of this. They open the gates. You have Brock Lesnar and CM Punk one-on-one in UFC. It'd probably be the biggest thing ever in sports history. Bigger than like Manny Pacquiao. And
would be huge, but if you're Brock Lesnar, you're dumb if you leave WWE because it's obvious that Brock Lesnar has WWE wrapped around his fingers.
He has him by the balls,
for
really.
some reason. I don't understand it. I mean, I guarantee you he's getting paid what he would be getting paid in UFC, if not more, at WWE. Otherwise, he wouldn't be there. So why would you go to UFC where you're going to get your ass? I mean, yeah, he'll kick ass, but he's going to get his ass handed to him at sometimes too. But why would you leave WWE when you can just sit back, appear once a month practically on WWE television?
Sometimes not even.
And it's just like, I would do the same thing if I could, which it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, I don't understand WWE's philosophy behind this, because, and I understand what you say, that by putting the belt on him, not having him there, it makes the title seem more important. It makes it think that when Brock Lesnar shows up, shit's about to go down. I can understand that, but I mean, it's just it's
at
made
first,
the titles like have more or less meaning behind it.
At first I was under that impression, like, oh, fuck Brock Lesnar, he never wants to show up. Why should you put the belt on him? I don't get it. It just doesn't make sense to me why you would do that. And then when I saw him come back and compete at that level, that high level matches, and like, I will say, him killing John Cena numerous times was great to watch. And then when he had that triple threat match, and I will go on record to say him, John Cena, and Seth Rollins is probably one of the best triple threat matches I've ever seen. It was that good. I loved it.
I wouldn't say ever seen, in my opinion. It was great. It's one
right
of the
up
best
there.
ones
It's
that
probably
they've had in a
right.
while.
It's probably right behind that. The one with Chris Benoit, Shawn Michaels,
for
and
a
Triple
PG
H.
era triple threat match. Yeah, it was good.
And I think that Brock Lesnar just looked like a beast. And really, what they're doing now is they're bringing Brock Lesnar, having him beat the streak at WrestleMania,
Still
building him up, and then when the next guy comes, they're gonna have him beat Brock Lesnar, and that next guy is gonna be Roman Reigns. Which, let's move from Brock, I guess, and talk about Roman a little bit. Unless you have any more thoughts on Brock, I mean,
well, let's move on to the WrestleMania 31 card, and we can start with the main event.
Okay,
Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. Sadly, I think Roman Reigns is going to beat Brock Lesnar, because I don't think that there's going to be any more. I don't think Brock Lesnar is going to be around after Mania.
No, unfortunately,
unless this
not.
whole thing is a shoot, and it's to make people think that, well, Brock Lesnar's not going to be around, so Roman Reigns is going to win it, and then they pull a hoopty and Brock Lesnar wins at Mania, which I will say this about Brock Lesnar. When he wrestles, he competes at the high level, like you said. He does not slouch. He takes ridiculous bumps. He throws guys around and gives ridiculous bumps and stuff like that. So I'm not taking that away from him. He's very entertaining. I just don't think that the behind the scenes, knowing that what he's getting paid and that he doesn't have to show up like all these other guys have to bust their ass traveling up and down the road and stuff like that. And why WWE is allowing this, I don't understand.
Well, don't you think he's already done that? He's already traveled up and down the roads. He's paid his dues. He's now at a point where he can be where he's at. I mean,
well, I'm not saying he didn't pay his dues, but I mean, I don't think he left WWE to go to UFC. And going to UFC, I mean, it's no picnic. You're getting your ass handed to you. And but I mean, he's paid his dues, but I don't think he's at that status that he should be a leader in the locker room, whether he is or he isn't. I mean, guys like The Undertaker, that guy is a legend.
Yeah.
How long has he been in WWE? And
forever.
He's really never taken a break. I mean, he gets to wrestle once a year at Mania, and that's it. But I mean, he's earned that.
Yeah, he definitely earned it.
But it's like Brock Lesnar, I don't think he's earned the spot that he's in right now. And I mean, easy for me to say, the guy's sitting in a studio behind a microphone and stuff like that.
Well, let's talk about Roman Reigns a little bit. I don't think Roman Reigns is the guy right now.
Nope.
A lot of people say it's Daniel Bryan. I don't know that I 100% agree with that either.
No. No.
But I don't say Daniel Bryan. I think Daniel Bryan's a better fit than Roman Reigns because Daniel Bryan never lost that title. And there's a story to be told there. Plus,
I could agree with that.
Daniel Bryan is always known as the greatest underdog ever. I will say, and like not ever, but he's a really great underdog. When he's down, the fans love to get on top of him and yes, and get behind him and all that. So I say, great story. The match happens, and then whether Brock Lesnar kills him or whatever, fine. But that's the way that I would like the WrestleMania. I'm dying here.
Dying.
But
don't get choked up.
Let's if there was some way that I could get Seth Rollins in the main event of WrestleMania, I think he should be in there because I think out of all the people this whole year, 2014 up to 2015, the one guy who I think actually earned it and made me a believer is Seth Rollins. He has turned it around. I thought Seth Rollins was going to be crappy. When he turned on the Shield, I thought it was going to suck. I thought, Roman Reigns is going to be awesome. Dean Ambrose is going to be awesome. And turns out Seth Rollins has taken the ball and been like the best wrestler the whole year.
No doubt.
I think he's the top. But you can't have heel Seth Rollins versus heel Brock Lesnar. It wouldn't work as far as a WrestleMania main event. But I don't know. That's what I would love to see Seth Rollins in there. But if Roman Reigns gets in there, wins the belt, and Seth Rollins cash-ins and beats Roman Reigns, that's the match I'm looking forward to.
Roman Reigns can use this heat that he's getting to his advantage, I think. I believe that, a year ago, would it have been Roman Reigns' time? No. I think it would have been one of those instances where they pushed somebody to the main event too quickly. But Roman Reigns, he's not a bad wrestler. His gimmick that he has now does not work without Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins.
Yeah, he basically has the Shield gimmick without anybody else, and the Shield worked because you had the crazy one, you had the high flyer, and then you had the powerhouse, and it all worked together, and they all hid their weaknesses, and their strengths looked awesome, and then it came out that Dean Ambrose is great no matter what he does. Seth Rollins is great, but Roman Reigns, it's because he's still doing the same thing. He walks through the crowd. He has the same music.
Superman punch.
He says, "Believe that."
And sometimes he can't even say that right. But he needs some time, like this is the instance where Miz was thrown into the main event.
Yeah.
And the sad thing is Miz was champion at the time, and but
I'll still say this, and you can hate me, you can love me, but I'll say Miz in the main event is more believable than Roman Reigns in the main event.
Right.
So.
But Roman Reigns, he can. I believe that Roman Reigns knows that he's going to get his ass. He's going to get some stiff shots from Brock Lesnar. This is probably going to be the most painful match he ever had, and for it to be the main event on the biggest stage of them all, I mean, that's putting a lot of pressure on Roman Reigns. So if he can get through this match, win or lose, I think he's going to gain some fans. I mean, he may gain some of my respect, but at the end of the night, if Roman Reigns walks out with the title, I mean, it's not going to surprise me because that's the shit that WWE puts out there.
Right. I have some feeling, though, right now that Brock Lesnar is angry about the way WrestleMania finish is going, and that's why he walked out on Raw. I think Brock Lesnar doesn't think. My opinion is that Brock Lesnar's like, who the fuck is this Roman Reigns guy? He hasn't earned his time. It's not his time.
We can ask Brock Lesnar, who the fuck is he to break the streak? I mean, that to me, that should not have happened.
Well, in the end, it's a Vince McMahon call where he's just like, yeah, this is the way it is. And the thing is, I think they do this so many times where they plan out this thing for like 3 years ahead of time, and it just doesn't pan out the way that, like, the whole, like, just having, it was supposed to be Batista going into Mania, and then the fans hated that, so they changed it to have Daniel Bryan going. But, like, even like the John Cena Rock thing is what I really want to talk about. Is like how they plan it out for an entire year, and then, like, whether it's good or bad, they have to do it. It's like, that's what they do. They're like, okay, so Brock Lesnar beats the streak this year, then Roman Reigns beats Brock Lesnar next year. On paper, that sounds great. But if Roman Reigns can't perform and he can't be improved in a year, then you're fucked, because Roman Reigns, he hasn't had any like great matches. I can't say that. Or like, oh my God, that was amazing. Roman Reigns looks so great.
Any of them that I could think of would be like six-mans with
with the
Dean
Shield
Ambrose and stuff. But it's WWE listens to their fans for the wrong reasons. Like, you know, oh, they like Daniel Bryan, so yeah, we're going to get rid of Batista. We're going to put Daniel Bryan in the main event instead and stuff like that. I mean, they don't listen to like the people that need to be pushed, like the Dolph Zigglers and stuff like that. And in WWE's eyes, all they look at when they see these superstars is dollar signs. And the thing that baffles me is your main event at WrestleMania, which is supposedly the biggest pay-per-view of the year, your main event is Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. Okay, Brock Lesnar, I don't think he sells much merch. And God honest truth, any merch that he does sell, I'm sure there's something worked out in his contract where he probably gets like 60% of whatever they make. It's probably going to be a lot more than what Cena makes off of his stuff. Roman Reigns, I don't think he honestly sells anything. So it's like, why? And I don't think a Mania should be based on who is the most popular at the time that's going to sell the most merchandise. But come on, Roman Reigns.
I mean, you go back to WrestleMania main events, and you think of like big time main events. Like,
I can't even think of any in the past like 5, 6 years.
That's what I'm talking about. Think about like the Hogan Andre,
right?
Warrior Hogan, freaking Rock Austin 3 times in a row, Shawn Michaels, Stone Cold Steve Austin, like. Even like Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar, like those were matches that people wanted to see. Like when you knew that was the main event, it was going to be great. And like I think the last good one was like Shawn Michaels' retirement, and that wasn't even the main event. It's just like, you know what I mean? It's just like you know, we're not getting those WrestleMania matches that we're supposed to get anymore. Like Daniel Bryan's last year WrestleMania moment was an afterthought. It wasn't supposed to happen. And like the undercard for this year is not good either. I mean, we have Sting and Triple H, which I don't think is going to be up to par, which what people think is, you know, you're a huge detractor of Sting, I guess you could say. You don't like Sting at all.
Well, before we get into that, the last WWE WrestleMania main event that had like any like appeal to me, like as a big time feel, was WrestleMania 20, triple threat. Yeah. Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and the man who will remain nameless, Chris Benoit.
Yeah,
I mean that was built like, all right, this will be pretty good. But even that match itself wasn't like Andre Hogan.
Well, I just love that build up to the match, because it's like Benoit's like, all right, I'm gonna sign my contract to be in this match, and Shawn Michaels super kicks him, and he signs the contract, and it's like, okay,
yeah.
Well, now it's a match. I liked it, you know, and like you said, I don't think we're gonna get at a time. And I guess people can say Cena and Rock, but I was not excited for that. We're not going to get a time where we're going to get a Hogan Andre or a Hogan Warrior or
and even though I hated this match, Rock Hogan at WrestleMania 18, I hated that match. But I mean, you can't deny the build up to that match and
Yeah.
like the big time feel it had,
Yeah,
especially when they did that hard cam shot of them face to face in the ring with all the flash bulbs going off and whatnot. But you're never gonna get that again because you're always gonna have Cena in the main event. Or
It's because they don't build enough big stars. I mean, they're trying to push Rusev, which credit to Rusev. I've liked him more and more, and he was the best match at Fastlane with John Cena, which is weird. And then John Cena and Rusev are probably gonna have a rematch at WrestleMania. I think it's Steel Cage is what people are thinking is gonna happen, or maybe
Steel
I Quit
Cage
match.
No appeal. It's a PG era. There is no appeal to any stipulation match in WWE because of the era, and that's just it.
Let's talk about this though. The only match, which is another match that's listed on the card, is the IC title ladder match that has been listed. So that one piques my interest. You're gonna have guys. People are thinking that Daniel Bryan's gonna win that thing, and he's gonna walk away IC champion. That's what I think.
Well, that match, to its credit, is going to be if it's got all these guys in it or whatever.
If they let it happen.
If they let it happen, but it's the bottom line of when was the last good ladder match in WWE? They can't do anything. It's like a guy getting slammed on a ladder. Yeah, it hurts, but from things that we've seen in the past, you can't.
Well, the last good, I think,
no blood.
TLC, like the biggest thing on that pay-per-view was Dean Ambrose doing a double drop off a ladder. I mean, like, woo!
Well, and their big thing was a freaking TV monitor.
Let's not even get into that.
Exploding in his face. This is the thing: is WWE is in a PG era is shit, and that's why I don't get excited when they're like, "Oh, it's a ladder match," and people like the thing is like with the crowd that's there, the little kids. I mean, a guy could get farted on, and they're like, "Oh my god!" I mean, it's not. And we were spoiled with the Attitude Era. And I'm not asking for blood and like chair shots to the head 8,000 times or anything like that. But I mean, really, it's not going to be a great match, this ladder match, if it happens. It's going to be your same ladder match that you have.
Yeah, there's going to be a couple cool spots because it's WrestleMania.
One of the guys is going to get a little cut on the back of his shoulder that's bleeding just a little bit, and they're like, "Oh my god, that's such a brutal match!"
Right.
And the thing is that a lot of the people there, and will be there in attendance. They're going to probably be chanting, "This is awesome," which to each their own. You can chant what you want, but it's just like to me, it's like those "This is awesome" chants are they're used a little too much these days.
Too frequent, yeah.
But that match though, I mean, if they have competitors in it like Wade Barrett, Dean Ambrose, Dolph Ziggler, I think let's see here.
R-Truth, I think, is going to be in it. Or is that the Battle Royal?
R-Truth. No, this is the Intercontinental Ladder match. Daniel Bryan, Dean Ambrose, R-Truth, Dolph Ziggler, and Wade Barrett. Those are the 5 that are being rumored to be in this match, and I think you should throw in Kofi Kingston.
Yeah, why not? I think what they're trying to do here is they're trying to reestablish those mid-card titles since Brock Lesnar's not there and the main title hasn't been used as much. I think do this, right? Let's have John Cena win the U.S. title and then have Daniel Bryan win the IC title. That puts credibility on both those belts right there. And then you can have the workhorse, Daniel Bryan, try and give some credit back. Just have him. Let Daniel Bryan have the title till next year. IC title, 1 year run.
As long as
goes out there, busts his ass, wrestles every night, says, I'm going to go out there and fight and fight and fight. And then that's the title. I don't know why they don't do that. That's a great story.
As long as they're like, he's like a fighting champion. But the thing is, like, once they put a title on somebody, then all of a sudden they're like in 6-mans and stuff like that.
Well, once they put a title on somebody, apparently their extremities turn into paper and they fall apart. They end up dying.
But the Intercontinental Championship ladder match that's being rumored, I honestly don't think it's going to happen.
It's going to happen. It's already announced on the WWE.com. The matches, but they haven't announced the participants yet.
Oh, well, I still think a better like ladder match would have been an NXT ladder match with a WWE contract above the ring, because that would have been a way to open up
They
the show.
would do that, but they're trying to build up for their Tough Enough show, which also features NXT guys that have not been on NXT yet. So,
Well, I mean,
I don't know.
you're telling me like Finn Balor and
They're
what's
gonna-
the Aikido guy? What is his name?
Aikido,
Aikido Kojito.
Kenta.
Yeah. I mean,
No.
people know who they are. Why can't they be in this? So I don't know. Well, let's talk about this one. You had brought it up, Sting and Triple H.
Yeah.
This is the match that I figured we were going to like.
As you call him,
butt heads.
Stink.
Well, 10 years ago, yeah, I would have been all for this match.
Well, here's the
but
thing. This is what I don't like about it. WWE rewrites history. I don't say they well, yeah, they do rewrite history, but they rewrite history to make us believe that these are the big dream matches that we want to see.
Yeah.
Like Rock Hogan was not the match that we wanted to see. At the time, everybody wanted to see Austin and Hogan because that was the match that everybody wanted to
Yeah.
see, and they pulled it the other way. So it's one of those things where like, well, Triple H was the only guy that didn't go to WCW, and or even though he started out in WCW, but during the Monday Night Wars, he stayed there through the trenches, and Sting was the only guy that didn't go to WWE, and he stayed there through the trenches, so let's do this. And then now they somehow have a story where Triple H thinks that Sting wants to put WWE out of business, which I don't understand that storyline. That does not make... He says... Sting wants to come in and finish what wasn't done. He knows that me, Stephanie, and Vince McMahon are the WWE. So by getting me out of WWE, then the WWE will crumble. And it's like, what kind of story is that? That's not a good.
It's a Vince McMahon story.
It doesn't make any sense. Why would Sting come into WWE just to put WWE out of business? And to the point where like now he's like, this doesn't make any sense.
This is. I mean. When Sting made his debut at the pay-per-view, just him walking out of the curtain, I was just like, this is sad and pathetic. The guy's got like a receding hairline. He like,
I guess you never saw him in TNA.
Looked like he's got like a wooden leg. He like had like a little limp, and that's the one thing. Like this day and age, we go back to the fans.
Yeah,
I mean, They apparently want to see this because they cheer it. I don't understand why they're cheering it. It's not. It's not going to be exciting. This is going to be the equivalent of when Triple H took on Undertaker. I believe it was both times I thought it was pretty pathetic, but I believe their first match at WrestleMania 27.
Yeah,
I think it was. That match was hard to watch because Undertaker is old.
Well,
can't
let's
wrestle
just
Triple H.
talk about Brock and Taker. Like that wasn't a good match by any imagination, but it was just like
WrestleMania 25 was the last good match that the Undertaker had against Shawn Michaels.
So it's like Sting's in that Undertaker point of his career where it's like you should probably hang it up, but we'll see if you can go one more. I'm hoping. I mean, as bad of a match as it's going to be because we're just talking about it, but Texas Sting and Taker is the match. I don't necessarily say that I want to see it because I know it's going to be a classic or whatever. I just want to be able to witness that dream match in my lifetime, regardless of what it is. If it sucks, I know the build-up will be entertaining. There's going to have so much theatrics to it. And the match is not going to be good by any
yeah,
at
but
all.
they're at least both on the same level as they're. I mean, it's going to be hard to watch, but I would rather have it because Triple H, he could ideally probably go another few years.
Like Triple H
wrestling.
could get in there with, like last year with Daniel Bryan. He could hang with a guy like Daniel, or like he could get in there right now and
but it's just
probably have a match with Brock or Roman or
be
Seth or Dean or.
It's like me fighting a 95-year-old.
It's like you fighting a trash can or something.
Basically, yeah.
It sucks because Sting is such a legend in the wrestling business. If he would have came in right when WCW closed, he would have had like one of the best careers in WWE. And they were just he was just too nervous that WWE was never going to do something good with him. And then he comes in now and they're not doing anything good with him. So I guess you're glad. I guess you're glad you waited. But if he would have came in during the invasion, man, that would have put him over the top.
If they would have just waited like a year and a half to do the invasion, can you think of how different it would have been?
You could have the NWO. You could have had Ric Flair. You could have had all the guys, Goldberg. But they didn't. So
Nope. To
but
have the final two, like if they had WCW versus WWE and the final two in that Survivor Series traditional match being Stone Cold and Goldberg,
or
good Lord.
yeah, or Stone Cold and Hogan, or Stone Cold and Undertaker and Sting.
I bet you Vince like kicks his own ass every day.
Well,
about what it could
let's
have
talk
been.
about that invasion for a second. Like Austin defunct to Team Alliance.
Everybody did. The only person that didn't like switch over were Undertaker and The Rock.
Wasn't Kurt Angle like the only good guy, or did he switch eventually?
He turned on WWE and joined WCW, and then it was all a plot just to.
Oh yeah, then he was the good guy who helped.
He was the one that helped The Rock beat Stone Cold, and it's just like the next night Stone Cold's back on WWE, and it's just like I don't know, the whole thing was just crappy to me. The only thing I liked about the invasion were like the mid-carders that got to face each other, like the Hardy Boys taking on like RVD and Lance Storm and all them. It was like that was the cool part for me.
Yeah,
but like main event wise, like nothing really was exciting because it was the same thing. It was like you had WWE guys deflecting over to WCW. Yeah. So it's like you have The Rock versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. Only Stone Cold Steve Austin's WCW now. So it wasn't.
Then you had The Rock win WCW title. I don't know.
Although Booker T and The Rock was
I'll say Booker T was one of the great guys who came from WCW and made a career. And then the same thing could have happened with Sting, but Sting chose not to and wait till now, and now we get this Sting match.
But we fast forward to WrestleMania 31. The only thing that could be cool about the Triple H Sting match is since it's WrestleMania and they kind of go all out for entrances, I think Sting might have like one of those entrances where it's like, oh, this is giving me goosebumps being here.
I think you'll get goosebumps from Triple H's entrance because
probably not.
He like last year. I loved his entrance last year. The green laser lights being there live and everything was just so epic. And it's Triple H. He's going to put the most money into his own entrance. Right, so it's going to be great. So,
well, let's move on to the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. That's rumored. Well, that's going to be taking place.
Everybody knows Curtis Axel's going to win it because Axelmania. Well,
you look at the people that they're saying are going to be in it. The site that I'm on, The Miz, Curtis Axel, Ryback, Fandango, and Adam Rose are the only names. I mean, I look at that list, and the only one that I would want to see win would be Ryback out of that.
Yeah, I could see Ryback pulling out, but again, it just doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't,
because they didn't mean anything last year.
Cesaro, that was huge for him. But
like he won it, and we're like, okay, this is gonna be great, and then he's like, I'm a Paul Heyman guy, and then it's like, not anymore, and then he broke the trophy, and then
when I stepped through these 4 ropes,
four sides, just kidding, and then pretty much his career was over. No, I think that this honor, the Andre Memorial Battle Royal, means nothing.
No,
I guess it's a good gimmick to have every year. Why not? Not like we just had a Royal Rumble the month
right. Well,
before
the best part of it is how they treat the trophy. Like it's like the Pope or something like that.
But
like
then when he just destroyed it, I don't know. And then the fact that like, why is it an Andre Battle Royal? Like, was Andre the king of the Battle Royals? Did I miss something there? I don't know. But I mean, it's good to to have the memory of Andre, but it's like really a Battle Royal. Whatever. We'll see if this becomes something where it turns into something like Money in the Bank, maybe, where like if you have this, you're in line for something. Hopefully they take a different turn with it this year. I think you give like Sandow to win it or something because he's so huge now. Get Sandow to win it.
That means he won't. No, it's going to be someone stupid that shouldn't win it. Like
R-Truth, The Miz.
It'll probably be The Miz, to be quite honest with you.
Oh, great.
It'll probably be down to him and Mizdow, and he's going to tell Mizdow to eliminate himself. And and even though this would be the time to have Mizdow eliminate The Miz and win it, that would be great. But WWE's way of thinking is like, we're going to keep stretching this on, and we're going to have...
You just wait. Mizdow's going to win it, and I'll laugh in your face when I see it.
I hope you do.
He's won it.
Okay, so let's start. There's 2 more matches at Mania, I believe, that we need to talk about. The first one we'll talk about is John Cena versus Rusev.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
I
But
actually am too.
the problem with this is that it's the same thing with Bray Wyatt all over again. Good guy John Cena is willing to let the guy win, but he's not willing to let him win at WrestleMania.
Right.
Bray Wyatt should have won at WrestleMania. There's no reason why Bray Wyatt should have not won against John Cena at WrestleMania. There was no freaking reason why not. And the same thing's going to happen is back when Rusev was doing the whole thing with Jack Swagger, I was like, okay, you know what's going to be funny? Eventually, John Cena's going to defeat Rusev. And I'm like, just joking, like that would never happen in a million years. Like they'll give it to some young guy who deserves it. No, it's going to be John Cena. And John Cena's going to do it at WrestleMania. And he's going to win the U.S. title. And he's going to probably bring back the spinner U.S. title. And he's going to probably say he's Mr. America. I don't know what's going to happen. But hopefully John Cena wins, which I hate to see that happen. But he can add some credibility to that title. Or maybe just have Rusev squash him again. The one thing that I did like, though, I will mention, last week on Raw, because we're a week behind since this goes up on Tuesday, John Cena's like, I want to beat you, and I want to beat you on the grandest stage of them all. And Rusev's like, nah, and he just leaves. And that was awesome.
Well, this honestly, this is my true feelings of this match. I think was thrown together like last minute.
Yeah.
I honestly think because there was that time where Kurt Angle had not signed with TNA.
Yeah.
And there was talks about him coming to WWE, and there was rumors that he was going to, but he went over Triple H's head straight to Vince and stuff like that and whatever. I think the original plan for Rusev was to take on Kurt Angle at WrestleMania.
Yeah, probably.
And when he re-signed with TNA, they're just like, well, the next, I guess, American hero would be Hulk Hogan, but he probably isn't going to do it, so we're going to go with the next one in line, and that's John Cena. Apparently.
Yeah.
And I think, I honestly, I think Rusev's going to get the win. I really think that they are, because to me, Rusev isn't the next guy.
Yeah.
But to Vince McMahon, Rusev's probably going to be the next guy.
Yeah.
Because Vince picks some weird people that he thinks are going to be the guy. And I think that'd be good for Rusev, because he's not winning the WWE title, but to be the U.S. champion, to beat John Cena at WrestleMania
Twice in a row.
Yeah, I think it's going to happen. But obviously John Cena is going to get the last laugh.
Well, you know, the way that it works, though, with John Cena, it's always better. He always has these moments where he just sits on the ramp and he's like, I just lost.
Yeah.
At WrestleMania.
I can picture it.
And then that's the story they'll go with there. But it's cool, though. I like the Rusev character. At first, I didn't really like Rusev, and now I've grown to really like him.
Oh, me too. And let's not forget Lana.
Ah, yes.
Do your impression.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I'm going to be picturing her head on your body.
Oh.
So the last match we want to talk about was exciting. It should have taken place last year at Mania. It's a year
should have been
late,
the one to end the streak.
and now we're getting it this year, and there's no excitement to it at all. Bray Wyatt versus The Undertaker. I mean, to me, if I was Bray Wyatt, yeah, he's not going to turn down. But I've been like, fuck you. I ain't taking on The Undertaker. There's no reason for me to take on The Undertaker now at Mania. The streak is broken by some idiot that shouldn't have broke the streak.
Here's the story they're going for, whether you like it or not. I kind of like the story. Again, I still believe that he should have been the one to beat the streak. It would have made sense. He could be the next Undertaker, obviously passing the torch. I still think Bray might be the next Undertaker, hopefully. But the story they're going for is that Undertaker's broken. Now I'm going to kill the Undertaker and put him to rest. And that's the story.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, that's kind of that's cool.
It's an okay story because, hey, he lost to Brock. Now I'm finally going to put the nail in the coffin and kill him. Maybe they'll do a casket match. That would be cool.
Yeah, right. Well, this is how I feel about it. Bray Wyatt, yeah, he could be the next Undertaker, but I mean, if he was going to be the next Undertaker, they need that next guy. I mean, nobody's ever going to live up to the streak that the Undertaker had, but Bray Wyatt shouldn't have lost that Mania last year. He should have beat Cena, like you said. And he should beat The Undertaker this year. and he should continue now going on with like being undefeated at Mania. Yeah, he's not going to go to like 21 and
Yeah.
or anything like that, but to get him to like maybe like even like 8-0 to like be like, all right, well, this guy actually might be the next Undertaker
Yeah.
with the streak. I mean, just to build that up over the years and make him seem like he's the next Undertaker. But this is, sadly, I think that Undertaker's going to beat Bray this year.
So they can set up for Sting
And exactly, Sting, I believe Sting's either going to come out and stand in the entryway and they can have their stare off if if Triple H and Sting takes place before Undertaker and Wyatt, which I think it should, but it won't. Or what's going to happen is Sting's going to beat Triple H, and then the bell is going to go off and the place is going to.
They're going to set it up for WrestleMania 31.
They're going to poop
or 32,
their
whatever.
or
Yeah.
like that. So that's my predictions for that. I think it's sad because Bray Wyatt is like, he's like an all around amazing wrestler. I mean, you can't say he sucks on the mic because his mic skills are.
Here's the biggest problem with Bray Wyatt is he never wins any big matches. Like when it counts, he doesn't win the big match, and it's like the only time I think he ever won a big match was when a monitor exploded in Dean Ambrose's face.
You love that monitor explosion,
and that was ridiculous. So it's just one of those things where like you need to give Bray that big moment so he can finally turn the corner and be like, yeah, I get it. He wins like before WrestleMania or after WrestleMania. He needs to get a WrestleMania victory and he needs to have like a big one. But it's whether they want to, like you said, they're probably just setting up for Sting Taker next year. Then they're just gonna have him beat Bray, and then Bray's gonna be like, I don't care. It's not about winning or losing. I just wanted to get in whatever he said. I don't even know.
Well, regardless, like that match, like usually I look forward to the Undertaker matches. Yeah. Like, ooh, who could be the one that could possibly be? Except for last year's, I was like, well, this is stupid. Brock Lesnar, Undertaker. I mean, it's a cool match, but it shouldn't be taking place at Mania. But it's like
I was like, there's no way Brock's gonna beat Taker and then he beats Taker.
Bray Wyatt beats Undertaker this year. Okay, whoop-de-doo. There's no.
The only way that it would make sense, and the only way they add credibility to it, is if he beats the Undertaker, and then Undertaker retires, and he says, "You know what? I can't hang anymore," and then he goes like this. And he hands the urn to Bray Wyatt. Bray takes the urn, and that's it. And Taker's done. And then the career's over, and Bray Wyatt basically ended the career of The Undertaker.
What are you drinking over there? If you think WWE would do something cool like that, you're insane.
They're gonna have an awesome retirement whenever the Undertaker decides to retire. So
it's gonna be just like Ric Flair's, where like everybody.
No, Undertaker doesn't cry like Ric Flair does every 5 seconds.
And then Shawn Michaels is gonna come out and tip his hat.
And then Shawn Michaels is gonna say, "I'm sorry, I love you," and kick the Undertaker.
Well, this is the thing that we're forgetting. Kane, Big Show. They're not on the card yet, I don't believe. And
they'll be in the Andre battle thing. Or they're going to have a match.
They're probably going to have a match against the Usos. Or are the Usos the tag team champions right now?
They're going to have the Usos in some tag team scramble thing. I don't know.
You got to keep in mind, they're going to... Kane and Big Show are probably walking out of Mania with the tag team titles because it's 1998. And it's just like, I love Kane. He's done a lot for the company, and I think he's been kind of shafted. But like Rey Mysterio, like Big Show, his time is up. He needs to go.
Well, another person whose time is coming up, I think, hopefully they'll let him have the WrestleMania match, and that is Goldust and Stardust.
Oh yeah, that match.
They can end Goldust's career at WrestleMania.
Goldust versus Stardust, with the loser having to leave WWE with Dusty Rhodes as the special guest referee.
I think that's the way to go with it. Or like, they no longer can you wear the face paint or whatever. Because, he's trying to turn him from Stardust back to Cody. So that would be the concept where it's like, you will no longer wear the paint. And then Goldust can come out and be like, if I can't wear the paint, I don't want to wrestle anymore.
Well, I think Goldust should be like, if I win, Cody, you can't wear the paint anymore. But if I lose, I will retire. And then Cody will be like, the only way I'm doing it is if Dad's the referee.
I like your impression.
The dads.
The only one that's doing it is, or whatever he does.
Dusty Rhodes. I'm gonna be at the WW. I can't even do.
Son of a plumber.
Oh man. So Mania, I don't.
You know what?
I have no high expectations.
But
except
here's
for
the thing about WrestleMania.
You're gonna make a good point because you went up about like 5 octaves.
Here's a good idea. There was a funny thing into this. There's a funny stand-up I went and saw, Kevin Nealon. And he's like, whenever we talk about, we remember stuff, like when we're talking about things that happened, we always raise our voice up. We're like, remember that time?
Yeah.
Remember that time when we went to WrestleMania? Remember that time that this happened? No, but what I see, I don't know if I can remember what I was going to say. Oh, yeah. This is the way that I look at it. I think that they look at it this way. People don't go to WrestleMania or don't watch WrestleMania for the card. They watch it because it's WrestleMania.
Bullshit.
No, really. Really, like, you're going to WrestleMania because it's WrestleMania. And I know if we weren't doing the documentary, you'd probably still want to go to WrestleMania.
No, not really.
Yeah, you would. Shut up. You're full of shit, and you know it. And the thing is, it's WrestleMania. It's going to be a fun time, and it's going to be a huge spectacle, and it's going to be awesome. It's going to be great.
Yes,
it's going to be fun. WrestleMania sells on itself being WrestleMania because there's those Japanese fans who sit front row and don't cheer, and they have a ton of money, and they just love watching wrestling.
I call bullshit to that because growing up, Mania always had a great card, and that's what was exciting about it. But it's just like nowadays, like I don't. It's sad because WrestleMania has disappointed from WrestleMania 26 till now. Every card has disappointed.
Well, okay,
to the point where I'm just like, I don't expect anything from WWE
think of
because
this now.
They know that they could have people that nobody knows wrestling at Mania, and they know that there's people that are going to be forking money into the prize, and they're going to make billions of dollars off of it with no effort being put.
Well, here's the thing: they don't have to, but they're selling WrestleMania for $9.99. It doesn't matter. They could put together the worst card in history, and people are still going to watch it because it's only $9.99 and it's WrestleMania. And that's the way it goes.
They're slapping fans in the face.
No, they think that Sting and Triple H is a draw, and they think that Undertaker Bray is going to be awesome, and they think that whatever and whatever and whatever is going to be good. But I don't think so. But we'll see.
The last thing about Mania that excites me is the card. I'm excited to go do this documentary. I'm excited to experience like being around
the Mania of Mania.
Yeah, but to me, I could give a shit less about going to watch the actual pay-per-view. Like I'm not excited at all. Like we could have got seats like up in the nosebleed behind a pole, and I wouldn't have cared because there'd probably be more entertainment with the pole.
That reminds me of the movie Ready to Rumble. Remember that? David Arquette.
That movie.
They get tickets from their uncle, and they're behind a pole. It was great
it's
stuff.
Just like, but again, I don't. WWE was so good to me growing up, and it's just it saddens me the way that they look at things now. Is anything the stuff they were doing back then was for money, but at the same time they were at least putting effort into making it entertaining, and nowadays they're not. I mean,
well,
it's poop and pee jokes.
Well, here's the thing. Let's talk about Daniel Bryan for a little bit. Fans are pretty much just giving up on this guy. And it's not because they don't like him anymore. It's like the people that were like so into Daniel Bryan last year that tried so hard to make him his guy, like their guy, they're just tired now because like this year they try, you know, and then nothing happens. And it's like, why do I cheer this guy when it doesn't matter? Because they're gonna do what they want to do anyway. That's what I think. WWE fans just get the hardcore fans that want to see the good shit. They just get frustrated now. We're just like, I just don't know what to do anymore. They're just gonna do the same. Like, no matter what happens, they're just gonna go with Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar.
Well, that's right. It's like
it's just frustrating. It's
I think WWE would be a better place if there was no McMahons in it. Like if Triple H took over things, I think it would be a hell of a lot better because if the rumors are true, which I'm pretty sure they are, that Triple H is the one that's running NXT.
Yeah.
NXT is fabulous. And are they doing blood?
Fabulous.
Yeah. Are they doing blood and
Yeah.
like hardcore stuff? No, but it's entertaining.
Kevin Owens got busted open.
Well, yeah, but it's just like if they were in the PG era that we are in, they're proving that you don't have to have blood and like hardcore like chair shots or anything like that to be extreme. Like their athletes are putting on amazing matches because of the moves they're doing.
Sorry to cut you off, which I've been doing a little bit, but I just got this thought in my head. What do you like? The one of the greatest stories told was a very simple and short and easy story. You have Kevin Owens coming in. It's known that Sami Zayn is his best friend.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Owens wants more money for his family, so he beats up his best friend to win the title. And you don't have to get a big elaborate story.
And that's real. That's a real
like that's a story I can believe.
That you can believe.
And then what does he do instead of beating him up and pinning him? He just keeps beating him up till he's knocked out, and that's like, and he's just like, I just want to make more money for my family, and how's that a bad thing? And it's like, that's simple. We can buy that storyline. We know that WWE told us they're friends, even if we don't know that for a fact. If we never followed any scene, but now we know this, and this is what happened. And they let them do some things that you might not see, like a powerbomb on the ring apron. You know, they don't always. That's a deadly move, but it's still awesome.
And the fact too, like even like the last NXT show, Kevin Owens is on commentary, and Alex Riley said something to like piss him off, and Kevin Owens just staring at him, leaves, and then comes back out and throws Alex Riley over the announce table. I mean, that in itself was just like, ooh, that's kind of a cool way to end a show, and it's simple but effective.
I know, and nowadays it's like in the main roster, it's like, well, we have to cut a 30-minute promo at the start of the show, and then we have to make a match, and then 10 minutes later we have to go backstage and see what's happening with that match later tonight, and then we have to talk about it again, and then let's go to a video of them talking about it, and it's like just too much talking, and that's the problem.
Well, everything is social media these days with WWE. It's like we got to trend every Monday night. You're going to trend regardless of what you're doing, but I mean, and what's NXT again? The women's division. Holy shit!
Yeah.
I mean, who knew women could wrestle? And I'm not saying that. Like,
yeah, I know, like sarcastically.
I'm being sarcastic. I mean, WWE divas.
Who knew women could wrestle? They should be in the kitchen.
Right. Well, it's like the matches are a joke on Raw with the divas. They're not even matches, and like I feel bad for Paige. I mean, aside from being hot, because I know she's listening to this. Paige is like one of like the better female wrestlers that's come along. Like when she was in NXT, holy shit, things she was doing. Emma, the same way. Summer Rae, those ladies put on hell of matches.
NXT has women wrestlers, and WWE has total divas.
Yeah, and it's just like you're you're better off staying in NXT. Like if I was in NXT and they're like thinking like, well, we're thinking about bumping you up to the main roster, I'd be like, no, thank you. Because even though you're getting a bigger pay, I'm assuming it's not worth getting shit on and making like Adrian Neville. Are they still going with the concept of making him like a Mighty Mouse superhero or something like that?
I have no clue, but
these women, some of the divas in NXT, their matches are like probably the match of the night. Like
I know that
the four-way. Holy crap! It's.
Well, here's the thing that we really want to. This is like a takeaway of every time I talk about wrestling, but there's alternatives out there. You don't have to watch that crap that's on WWE, and not all the time is it always crap because there's good stuff here and there. But if you're not satisfied with WWE, look out independent wrestling in your area. Like I said, you just look up your state independent wrestling and you'll find it. I mean, magnum-pro.com. You can watch matches on there for free. And
hear our voices.
It's an alternative. It's like look up PWG. Go to their website. Buy one of their DVDs. I guarantee you'll be satisfied.
I'm telling you, if you go to YouTube and type in like a PWG highlight package, just for that 2-minute highlight package, you're going to be hooked. Because that's how I was. Because it's amazing what they do. And I mean, my one gripe about PWG is they like do like the flippy dives and all that stuff, and like they'll jump off the top rope and do like 17 flips and stomp on a guy's face, and it's it's just awe-inspiring. You're like, oh my God. But they don't sell things that great there. Like they get like a crazy move done to them and they're right back up and stuff. But who cares? Look at what they're doing.
They're in the right mindset though, because they're not trying to be WWE light. They're trying to be PWG. You know, like why try and compete with something when we can just do our own thing and be successful at that?
That's the one thing. And again, I have nothing bad really to say about Magnum Pro, but you know, in our production meetings, it's always WWE's name is brought up. Well, this is how WWE does it. It's like WWE sucks. I'm sorry, but it's just like
not always the best. I mean,
you should not compare yourself to Magnum Pro is its own product, and that's what people like. And it's like, you know, Magnum Pro started out family friendly, and we still call ourselves family friendly. But we're kind of moving a little bit away from that.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, you know, if you're bringing your kids to this event, just know that it's not going to be like patty cake and stuff like that. I mean, we've got divas, women in Magnum Pro, and the matches are
that dirty D word around Magnum Pro.
But we had last year in February, we had a barbed wire match, and those guys were bloody by the time it was
a great
done.
match.
I mean,
one of my favorites.
It's like you said, it's an alternative. Indie wrestling is, and Magnum Pro, they just need to be their own thing because that's when we're the best. And that really, and not just because I'm in Magnum Pro, but we're on fire. The things we're doing are entertaining. Like we had a loser leaves Magnum match back at our January show, and the two participants in it, Jason Strife and Hype Gotti. I mean, you don't get that kind of reaction from a crowd with most.
That was an insane match, and it was like almost an hour long, wasn't it?
It was like 45 minutes long, and I mean, you could have went into that match as a fan and been like, I am so sure that Jason Strife is winning this match and Hype Gotti is leaving Magnum, but halfway through that match, especially towards the end, people that thought that way were like, holy crap, I think Hype Gotti actually might win this, or vice versa, because it was just like they told the story so well in the ring, and they didn't have to bust each other open. They didn't have to like take dives off the set through tables and stuff like that. I mean, they did some crazy spots, but there's just magic in Magnum Pro. And not just Magnum Pro, there's other indie feds out there that have that same magic, but really you need to start supporting indie federations, because these guys are not in it for the money. They're in it, and I'm not saying all the WWE wrestlers are in it for the money, but these indie wrestler guys, they want to make it, some of them to the WWE level, but they're putting their bodies on the line for practically nothing because it's a passion they have, and they want to, whether they're performing in front of 500 people or 40 people, they're going to put on the same type of show and match that they would, like, as if they were on WrestleMania. Yeah.
I don't know. I think we're about to wrapping up. We're at a 2-hour mark here.
Woo!
So
I've been holding my pee for 2 hours.
We're going to say this, though. We want to thank you guys for listening to the OMG Wrestling Podcast. Originally, it was just on my YouTube channel. I'm probably going to get the audio version up on iTunes. But we're planning on every Tuesday. If you want to go ahead and send us some feedback and stuff like that, you go to hashtag OMG Wrestling, or I guess hashtag OMG Podcast. I can't remember. It'll be in the description of the video. Video is new. We're trying it out for the first time ever. Hopefully it turns out good. Hi to everybody at home. Thank you for watching. This is something that we're hoping to improve. On my channel, I want to bring more big content. I have a show that I want Logan to produce, which I'm thinking about telling you guys soon. Support Marks. I'm a mark.com. Monetarily, you can do that, or you can do it if you just share the link and spread the word that we're making a WrestleMania documentary, a documentary at WrestleMania, not a WrestleMania documentary. But for
what I'll say here, like he said, support Marks and whatnot. It's whether you just spread the word or you somehow donate. And I mean, support this podcast, because we want to bring in some like names and stuff like that, some wrestlers to talk to and see what they have to say, and even have segments where you can ask questions, call up, and all that stuff. I mean, we're gonna make this podcast like everything about professional wrestling, indie wrestling, and all that. And I mean, there's no rules on what we can and cannot do. So
No, I'd say this is like season 2 of the OMG Wrestling Podcast. We're just kicking it off here, WrestleMania season again. So we got a lot in store for you. I'd love to bring in some big. We know a lot of wrestlers on the independent and professional scene, so we would love to bring some of them in to talk on the podcast. Maybe do some Saturday episodes again. But for now, every Tuesday, come on over here. We'll have the episode posted up. Anything final you want to say, Jack?
Well, thank you for listening to my voice for 2 hours now. And again, if you hate me, you hate me. If you don't, you don't. I just enjoy doing this, and I'm genuine. Some people might disagree with this, but I'm pretty genuinely a nice guy, and so it's kind of fun to play a heel at times. But yeah, you'll be sick of our voices here over the weeks, but we do appreciate you listening, and keep supporting Anthony over here with his channel. We'll be bringing back the universe mode.
Yeah, for sure. We'll get that up here soon. But again, Marks is happening, WrestleMania. If you're at WrestleMania and you see us, say hi, because I'll probably be wearing a t-shirt that either says I'm a Mark or that says OMG Wrestling Podcast.
Or a crushed red velvet suit jacket.
Maybe a crushed red velvet suit jacket. But that's for you to find out. So come seek me out at WrestleMania if you're at Access, if you're at the Hall of Fame, if you're in California at that time. Come say hi to us, and we'll probably be hanging out and meet and greet and all this stuff. If
we're nice guys, we're very approachable, so approach us. We'll probably have you hang out with us for the day.
If you want to be in our movie, come on out and say hi. We'll put you in our movie. So thank you guys again for all the support. Sorry, season 2 of the OMG Wrestling Podcast is taking a while to get here, but now we're back in gear and ready to discuss all things wrestling related, good, bad, or ugly. But we'll see where this goes. I'm excited. I just think of the future, and the possibilities are endless. So again, thank you guys again. If you want to support this, there's links in the description, all that information. So just check it out. Again, Tony Pizza Guy.
Can I do my sign out that I'm not allowed to do for Magnum?
Sure, go for it.
All right. So for Anthony Douglas,
yes,
I'm Jack Lubash, and I'm jacking off.